Hey, welcome everyone. This is a first. This is Gabriel. This is Contador Natunic. I'm here with Max Dieckmann. How are you doing, Max?
Hello, hello. I'm fantastic.
Max Dieckmann, for those who don't know, he's the Spanish national champ, the Span Nash
That's right.
champ. Okay, and he's here on a special Razor Recast edition where we're gonna do set review for Outsiders. So that's all gonna start after the intro. Wow, exciting stuff. I just love the intro. That's all
I mean, it is actually pretty awesome,
yeah,
I
did you
have
did
to
you hear the
say.
sounds?
I did not hear the sound, but that's okay.
That's not the correct answer though. Okay,
I'll
so
listen back.
Outsiders. It's the newest set. It's coming out on the 27th or something. Pre-release this weekend if you're hearing it right now. And plenty of exciting stuff, right? There's assassins, there's rangers, and there's the ninjas, all the renegade classes.
Yeah, some ninja and ranger getting some love, and also, well, technically speaking, assassin also getting some much needed love. I feel like all three of these have been kind of on the fringes so far.
Yeah,
So excited
definitely.
if this is going to shake up the constructed matter. But more than anything, I'm just excited about getting to play limited again. So I'm really hyped for the pre-release. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it seems like they've always been pushing like different limited like strategies for drafting, with Uprising having like two heroes drawing from the draconic pool, and one hero cares about blues, the other's about reds, and there was also Tails, right, that had overlapping card pools. And now with six heroes is the different thing, right? The gimmick on the set, which looks pretty fun, right?
It does. It does really look fun. I think this is actually, from the looks of it, it might actually be kind of similar to Tails, where you have like two classes sharing like card pools. So we kind of had this idea with in Tails only having three heroes, but there was always like two heroes having overlap in terms of the element that they would be able to play. Here we have like directly overlap with the classes because we have like these cards which can be played by either class.
Yeah,
And then also in Tails, you only had three heroes. Here you have six heroes, so two for each class. But you still kind of have this idea of like, okay, you can play in Tails. Maybe you could play each hero in like two different ways at least.
yeah.
And here you just have like straight up two different strategies kind of laid out for you. So I think there might be some similarities. And Tails was an excellent limited format, much better than Uprising. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I guess Tails was a bit different in the sense that the there wasn't really two versions of the same hero, at least for like Odin. I felt like I didn't draft much, but at least it feels like so, right?
Yeah, you're right. Oldham was probably the most linear of the Tales heroes, but I also have to say that unfortunately I did not get to play as much limited as I wanted to. So
Yeah,
I don't have like the deepest knowledge there. But for sure the other heroes you could definitely play in different ways. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
And for this set review, we're gonna be talking, like, I guess at the same time about constructed and limited rating for most cards, all cards. And I think we're gonna just go by the edition set number. So let's start
yeah,
it out with
let's go.
Outsiders 000. What do you think about that card, Max?
I think this is maybe a bit of like a card that we can't be too sure about at the moment.
Okay,
It might see some play, it might not see some play, but yeah, the Fabled is always a very interesting card,
that's an
very
accurate
unique.
an accurate assessment. Yes. Okay,
I'm trying my best here.
Uzuri. Uzuri is an assassin. I'm not gonna exactly. I don't think we should be reading everything of the card. Maybe I'm gonna just try to explain, and if you're at home, just I'll just say out the name, and you can search it after. But we're definitely gonna describe at least what the card does. So Uzuri is an assassin that has 20 health, and she has a once per turn attack reaction. Banish a card from your hand face down as the cost, and then you can just turn it face up. And is it a May for you to switch? You just put
You
it.
may switch. Yeah, it's a may.
Is
You
it?
need to have yes. Also, like the condition does not necessarily have to be met, right? You can banish any card that you want, and it doesn't have to be an attack action card with 2 or less
Oh,
attack. Oh my god, my this was in the recent rules reprise video. Oh my god, my camera is acting up.
yep.
Oh, we go. There I
I
am.
I
Back
I
again.
I I never thought about it until right
But
now. Yeah, you don't have to
but it
banish an
turns
attack.
out, yeah, but it turns out you actually have to have a stealth target on the chain to target with this. So you need to play a stealth attack in order to activate this attack reaction. And yeah,
Makes
so
sense. Makes sense.
basically, if you played Magic, this is reminiscent of Ninjutsu, which is an ability in Magic where you can switch an unblocked attacker with a card from your hand and to kind
Yeah.
of surprise your opponent with what you're attacking them with.
Yeah. In terms of
Um,
actual like value off of the ability, you're actually in a way you're paying 3 up to 3 for the ability to play an attack that costs 2 or less as an attack reaction, right? Because you're, instead of pitching the card to pay for the 2 cost attack, you're playing it to the chain, right? So you're playing in a stealth attack that, you know, can be a red, doesn't matter, and then you're switching it for whatever you want, like a command and conquer, anything. But it's still like 2 cards. You're basically paying for an attack without ever having any resources left, which is,
exactly. So in a way, you're turning your stealth attack into a crack bauble.
yeah, crack bubble, yeah, sure.
Yeah, your stealth attack becomes a cracked bauble because you're turning it into 2 resources, which sounds pretty horrible.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
basically,
worse.
you're not sometimes worse. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're not getting anything out of this in terms of direct value, and arguably you're losing a bit of value because you could be pitching that card for 3 resources and you're
Yeah.
only getting up to 2 out of this. So the value of this ability comes entirely has to come entirely out of the surprise effect here, and
Yeah.
also indirectly by making your opponent respect this ability and then not using it. So if you attack with a stealth attack and your opponent blocks with 2 cards, and you don't activate this ability and arsenal the card that you have left, you actually now gained value out of this ability by not using it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an interesting thing, and how this hero will play. And I think another thing that this will allow you to do is to play actually a very low amount of blue cards. So I think this is something that people will probably initially start exploring. Because you don't need to pitch your cards in order to play like your big attack. So you can actually just kind of like run a high red count and just play out your red stealth cards and then switch them in for a different red card.
Yeah.
However, this might then into the problem that the strongest heroes right now in Classic Constructed, or some of the strongest heroes right now, are ice heroes. And what they like to do is give frostbites to people. And
Yeah,
we
that
all
they
know
do.
that if your strategy revolves around playing cards that cost 0 and activating abilities that cost 0, frostbites are horrible. And so, especially like Bolton is like an example of a hero that really suffers under frostbites. And I think Azuri, depending on how actually ends up playing out, might have similar problems.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, what's your initial take on like how good is this hero going to be in Constructed?
In Constructed, I do not have high hopes for it, just because it is good when you don't have an arsenal, because then you can just get 1 card of value off of not activating it and putting your thing into arsenal. But then next turn, like, you either stuck with, you know, your command and conquer in arsenal, and then you actually have to play it out, and, you know, you have to play at a low tempo. But and then if you do have an arsenal, then it's just a how well can I block sort of puzzle. So the fact that the ability, the value, you know, comes from the surprise, basically means that the better you get at you know, knowing what's about to come up. And there are really like 2 types of effect, right, that can come up of Yuzuri and actually be good, which is the destroying your arsenal or getting a card from your hand. with the surgical extraction, and there's another thing that takes a card. I guess the hers
Yeah, her
her spec, yeah.
specialization also does like some nasty things.
Yeah, so there's two of those. So you just pick your poison. Am I ready to take my arsenal out? Then sure. Just knowing that it's not a surprise anymore. So there's no value coming off of the surprise.
Yeah, I think I see it in the same way. I think this is, I'm willing to also concede that I might be totally wrong here and just completely fall on my face with this prediction, but I kind of see this as tier 2, maybe at best tier 1.5, tier 1
Yeah.
hero, where initially you're going to, if you invest time in this hero, you can actually have like good success initially. Comparable, I think, to Dorinthia, where if people don't know what your hero does and when it does it and how it works, you can really catch them off guard and you can really make them suffer. And just like Dorinthia has like naturally kind of like lower numbers on most of her cards, just because you get to play them at instant speed, you have to kind of make up for that by making your opponent make the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And I think this is the same kind of problem that once people start to understand how to play against this hero, it's going to suffer quite a bit.
Yeah,
And you're going to start to
something.
notice that your hero ability actually has -1 printed on it, which
Yeah.
is not great.
Yeah, basically, people in the Brazilian groups, we've been saying that she's literally Dorinthia. That's it.
Yeah,
It's a
you could
puzzle
say
on
it
the
like that.
blocker, and that's Dorinthia. You know, that's
Yeah.
it. So it's always
Also,
gonna
another
be as
thing
good as Dorinthia. That's it.
yeah. Also, another thing to note is that if you if you don't activate your attack reaction and you arsenal the card, you cannot actually swap in a card from arsenal. So you actually have to swap in a card from hand,
Yeah,
which might also be, it's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal. Like you still have a card, but it's kind of like what you are able to bluff and represent also is dependent on you actually having a card in hand, which might sometimes be,
yeah,
which you
and
might
there
not
are
always have.
ways where you can like gain value. So you have like 3 card hands, so 2 in hand, 1 in arsenal. You just attack with a stealth card, and then if you can swap and play a reaction from arsenal, for example, like a blood rot thing, and then the person blocked 6 and you actually used your arsenal, so you dealt 3 damage and an on hit, which is pretty good. Most of the reactions don't work on like CNC and stuff, but they do work on the like some assassin cards, stuff like that. And so that can be something, or you just like attack with a stealth card and do a double pump. So the person blocks 6 and you pump the stealth to do like 2 blood rots. So 1 from hand, 1 from arsenal. You dealt 9 damage, you made 2 blood rots, and the person, blocked with 2 cards. So, but then you're back to, hey, I have 4 cards, I need to block 2. Like the fact that she cannot operate at a high tempo. So it's like she if you give her 5 cards, she's mostly using like 4 of them at the most, depending on the amount of reactions you actually have on your deck, or pumps, in
Yeah, it's
general.
kind of a similar problem that Dorinthia has sometimes, where you can't make use of your tempo if your opponent just blocks correctly, or
Yeah.
if they have a defense reaction, they can just blow you out, and you cannot actually use all of the cards in your hand. And even though you have like a tempo advantage, you cannot leverage it, and then that then your opponent gains tempo back, and that can really kind of hurt you.
Yeah, and there's the thing, like, if you can go wide against an Uzuri, so you're attacking her and she's not blocking, so oh man, she's doing a big turn, and then you just play out your arsenal, and now like she has no disruption for you because it's mostly the arsenal. She maybe can take a card off your hand with the surgical extraction, but then like it's still like 11 damage, 13 damage off of a 5-card hand that takes a card away from you. Like it's not that big of a deal, even if it's
Yeah.
the best case scenario for her. Well,
Yeah.
so I guess 1 out of 5 seasons of The Wire in terms of rating, 5 being the best.
I mean, every season of The Wire is a 5 out of 5. So, um, I would say maybe 2 out of 5 for constructed. I think
Okay.
Dorinthia is also like a hero that is not completely unplayable. But yeah, I would
And
give
you're
it a 2.
giving her a 2, a below average.
Yeah, just like the amount of pitch she generates with her
Okay,
ability.
I'll go a 3, and then we can
It's
settle on the
a
average.
cracked ball out of 5, basically.
Packed ball out of 5. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to Arachne's Solitary Confinement. So he's the young boy The adult version of Arachne is still the adult version. So he has the contract thing where he looks at the top card in constructed. So we're, I guess, in limited. What do you think about this hero?
Well, limited and blitz, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
this hero, as opposed to Uzuri, who has a novel written underneath it, is very concise and very
Indeed.
simple, and it just says +2, which is
Exactly.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So this hero says your first attack with stealthy turn has go again. So basically, you are turning your stealth cards into attacks that have go again, and most of your stealth card, the red ones, they are 0 for 3s. So that means you turn them into head jabs, except they also block for 3. So they're
Yeah.
better than head jabs.
Yeah,
But
super hedge ups.
uh, super head jabs, except only the first one, right? So
True.
you're not really going to be doing the phi thing. And I think the main issue that I see with this hero, in when it comes to like let's say blitz or like the actual constructed format, is that the stealth attacks seem to be underpowered. So basically, the stealth keyword seems to be counted by LSS as A1, except it doesn't do anything
Okay,
on its
you
own.
think it's valued at a one, even
Yeah, because
considering
the
it's
stealth
an
cards
assassin
are
thing. Like,
yeah
did you
because
consider the
they're
fact it's an assassin, not a generic, to factor it at a one?
yeah
Because
because it's wounding blow, except it's 3 power instead of 4,
yeah, but it's
and
not
then
a generic.
it's not a generic, so it has some extra text because it's not generic because it's a class card, so it's a bit better.
Okay, I guess we can enter this discussion when we actually talk for the about the
Yeah,
first
let's
stealth
okay,
card.
but either way, so I think this I think they did good reasonable testing, so I would assume that in limited this hero is going to be about as strong as Azuri.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and this leads me to believe that in constructed it's not going to be great
You mean Blitz?
um, in blitz. I think just like with Zuri, this is going to be very good. Like I think in limited the heroes are going to be equally strong, all of
Yeah, for
them.
sure.
And
Ish.
I think this is a nice hero to have in limited because it has very simple abilities. So if you're maybe a newer player or uh, you're not new to the format and it's easy to draft this hero, let's say, or it's easy to build a deck around this. You play a bunch of stealth cards,
Some
some attack
pumps.
reactions,
Yeah. Some
and then there you
payoffs,
go. You
like the
play
big 2 cost one, so you can go like stealth,
exactly,
play a 2 cost thing. Yeah. Uh,
exactly.
I guess when I read it, I was like, yeah, this is boring, but boring is good sometimes because we have a history from heroes that have go again printed on the card. They usually are strong, right? So maybe it's a thing where actually having go again, where you get the 2 value off of go again like for free, just like Starvo did, except it had constraints on your deck building and chain basically. It might be good enough, The thing
Yeah,
is, yeah, go ahead.
just Chain also had like underpowered cards, right? And the fact that he
True.
had Go Again printed on him, to be fair, there was more text on the hero. You could play the cards also from, you had like more hand size, so that was a part of it. But to be fair, I think I might also be undervaluing how good this actually is. But it's at the very least, it's going to be decent.
Yeah, it's a flexibility of actually being able to play out more cards, which Uzuri doesn't have, right? Not as easily. Like she can do one big attack, that's it. Bar, attack reactions, giving go again, or snapdragons and stuff. But just having the flexibility of not using your go again because you're doing an attack for 6 with an on hit, which I think there are some in the set, so looks good. So like you can do 2 card hands. You can also do 3 card hands where you play a stealth and then a 6 cost attack. And you can do 4 card hands if you have a reaction and the stealth reaction 6 power attack. I think
Yeah,
that
or
sort of
just
flexibility
swing
is
your dagger.
pretty good, right? For limited.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into the weapons. Spider's Bite. This is a reprint. So they're basically all reprints. There's also Nerve Scalpel, which is a majestic, so you're not seeing it in limited. The token is the Spider Bite. If you're playing Uzuri or Arachne, you're probably getting a Spider's Bite, but sometimes you might get one of those special daggers. So they're basically the same template as Spider's Bite. They cost 2. For a 1 power attack with Go Again, they have Piercing. So if it's defended by an equipment, it gains +1 attack. And they all have a when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with a 1 or more blank, they have -1 while defending. So Spider's Bite is for attack actions, if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Yes.
Nerve Scalpel is for reactions. Seems like the more the most
The narrow
specialized,
one.
yeah, the narrowest of them all. And then there's the non-attack one, which is pretty good for at least constructed, I guess, for your sideboard. And then Scale Peeler, which is for equipment. This also seems rather weak, but
That seems, yeah. So pretty clearly, I think that the strongest of those are Spider's Bite and Orbitoclast. I think, as you already said, in Limited, you're probably only going to see Spider's Bite. Like, sure, you may open like one of the other ones. I don't think they're going to be a high priority to pick because, all by and large, I think your opponent's deck is going to mostly have attack actions in them anyways.
yeah,
And the upside of having like a different dagger, it's an attack for one. Like, and you don't know what your opponent has exactly in your hand, so may as well just play the attack action card, the attack action dagger. However, when it comes to constructed, in particular, Orbitoclast is actually like non-significant, like quite a significant upgrade for assassins because now that gives them an additional tool against wizard classes.
yeah,
In particular, because they don't have or they have very few attack actions. So now you're making their life a lot harder.
yeah.
And even
Not a lot
against
harder.
like, well, I think it's not. I mean, not a lot harder, but like you do make it a bit harder. Like
sure.
you at least interacting with them on their
Yeah,
axis
yeah.
that kind of is relevant to them, which before your weapon was like a bad Kadachi, right? So now it's doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see that Orbitoclast for sure is going to see play.
Yeah.
I think the other ones very maybe like in a sideboard, but I think it's more of a. To be fair, to be honest, I think unless there's like decks that you really specifically want to target, let's say Dorinthia or Assassin being like exceptionally good and everybody playing attack reactions, I don't think I think you'll be wasting a sideboard slot
Yeah.
with putting one of those in your deck.
Yeah, you're probably having like a Spider's Bite, Orbitoclast, and that's it. That's your
Yeah,
weapons.
Arcane Lantern.
Arcane Lantern, yeah, that's the best assassin weapon
That's
is
the
Arcane
best
Lantern.
dagger.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. That you summarized it pretty well. If you're attacking with it, then you better not be taking damage to do it. It's just a thing you do when you have space to, because it's a horrible thing to be attacking with it. But
Yeah, it's a very
like,
bad rate.
yeah, there's like especially I think because assassins have a hard time using the one extra resource too well. Like Arachne can do nowadays the Pitcher Blue or Spider's Bite and then a 1 cost contract thing. But that's just such a weak rate. Like, even if the person does like take the one and needs to block with 2 attacks, so you're getting like 3 value out of your Spider's Bite, and
Well, you
the 5 attack,
now
it's still bad. Like two resources for 3 value overall.
yes. However, you now have like the one attack, one cost reactions that work on stealth cards. So you could play like swing the dagger, play a 0 cost stealth card, and then play a reaction on it, which is obviously not a great rate. But now you're getting into the area of actually forcing on hits, and some of the stealth cards have, and also the attack reactions have like
Yeah,
relevant on hits.
true.
Um, so there might be some value here, but by and large, you're correct. This is something that you do because you have like more cards in hand that you kind of
Yeah,
know what to do with.
and it doesn't talk very well with the 2 cost attacks, right? Because it costs 2, and the attacks cost 2, so you have to pitch 2 cards. It's not that good of a synergy for constructed. There's Tunic, but as the next card we're gonna talk about, maybe you don't run Tunic because there's Redback Shroud, which is God, I'm so good at segues. The legendary Assassin Chest, which says while Redback Shroud is in your graveyard, at the start of your turn, you may destroy 2 silver you control. If you do, equip Redback Shroud. And then as a reaction, you can destroy it to make the next attack reaction you play this turn cost 1 less to play. Defense for 1 and has Battle Worn. I like having Battle Worn, defending for 1, pretty good. I still think you just run Tunic in Constructed. It's free resources versus, like, because there's the when you're sacrificing 2 silver to bring back this, it means that there's an opportunity cost because you didn't of not bringing back the boots or the mask, you know. And this is making 2 silver into 1 resource at most, you know. That's literally what it does if it comes back. And in the case of the boots, it's turning 2 silvers into go again, which is worth. Well, it's not exactly go again, it's conditional go again because the attack needs to hit. So, you know, it's still 1 value technically because conditional go again is worth
Yeah,
1.
if it works, it's 2. If it doesn't work, it's 0, so it's 1.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And so, yeah, it's basically the same thing, but I think it's easier to make the boots be worth, you know, 2 resources than it is for this to be worth 2.
I basically agree with everything you say. So first of all, you have this problem that this actually competes over your silver in terms of like, I think with Assassin you already have that problem where you're not generating enough silver to like reliably get your equipment back, and you already have 2 equipment slots that need 2 silver each to kind of like buy back. Now you would have an additional slot. You don't have that much silver. Like there's no way you're creating that much silver to begin with, and then uh, in addition, so you're getting 1 resource out of it. Out of the boots give you like potentially 2, or like more often than not, they will give you 2. And here, the 1 resource is also like very conditional that you can only use it on attack reactions. So, however, a good amount of attack reactions actually cost 0. So, and the assassin ones in particular, the good ones, they actually don't cost anything. So even this, like making this resource and then spending it is like, is going to be like more difficult than.
Yeah, it's not something you do in a lot of hands, right? You require
Exactly.
specific hands where you have an attack. The person is already blocking it for the attack reaction to, you know, get the value off of the on hit. Because if the person's not blocking, then the attack reaction was just worth the +3. It's just a weird.
And then,
I like the design. I just don't think it's tunic.
Yeah, it's not tunic, and I think this is missing some support. Like there's just also Arachne is the only assassin that actually creates silver. So Usuria does not actually create silver because she doesn't play, or actually she can play contract cards, right?
Yeah, she can play contract. Yes. Yeah, it's not Arachne that creates the silver; it's the contract.
It's the contract.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, you can actually get silver with Usuri. So that's, I guess, something you can do.
Yeah. There's a weird thing about like split personalities too, right, in the pools, because like contract cards, they do well with other contract cards, especially when you're going wide. They don't do well with like the whole thing of the set. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could play a stealth card and then swap in a contract card, but there's not really any contract card that you want to swap in because you're kind of losing so much value because they're either 0 or 1 cost cards that attack for 4 or 5.
Yeah.
There's not really a good. I mean, there's like, as you said, there's surgical extraction.
Yeah, leave no witness. It's also a good one, but that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's not that much. And so the chances of you actually generating that enough silver to justify running this is kind of low. Like especially if you can just run tunic.
Yeah, it's cool support. That's what I'm gonna say. I guess that's the. If you open this, just know, hey, I have a cool card. This is going to be good in the future.
I mean, it's got to be fantastic and limited.
Sure, true.
Yeah. Just block for 1.
Well,
and get a resource.
Yeah. That's it. Because I mean, the whole first paragraph, like you're not. There's no silver in this.
Yeah, but set. You don't care. Like that's just straight up 2 value out of your equipment. That's so good. That's so good.
All right, infiltrate. This is a 0 cost assassin attack that attacks for 3, defense for 3, has stealth, and when this hits, banish the top card. You may play it until the end of your next turn. And this only comes in red? Yeah, this only comes in red.
That's a majestic.
It's a Oh, I didn't see. I guess that speaks to. I thought it was a common. That's how, you know. I guess mediocre. That's how much you think looks. Of it. Yeah. But I mean, it is probably the best on hit on a stealth card we have. I think there are some that create blood rots and stuff like that, but this is potentially equivalent to drawing a card.
Yes. So this is the best on hit on a stealth card. And this gives us this gives us the template for a stealth card. It's a 0, it's in red, it's a 0 for 3 with 3 defense, and it has an additional effect in addition to stealth.
Okay, this
So,
is a majestic. I'm gonna argue when we get to the rare. Majestics go they're outside the template.
well, the template is I'm just talking in terms of like cost, attack, block,
Yeah, but
and
majestics
then
break that because they only come in one color, so they have higher power level because they come in one color. No.
sure, but like the template is still the same as
Sure,
the
sure.
other stealth cards,
Yeah,
except that
because
the
I
on it
want to
is
argue
just
about the fact that stealth is valued at 1. So yeah, the template is
okay,
for
okay,
sure the
okay.
same. Yeah, it has stealth,
Yeah.
and then it has a thing, a
Okay,
paragraph.
and so just on the face of it, just playing out this card is always going to give you 3 value, right? Unless you pitch it. So if you block with it or attack with it, it's going to give you 3 value. It doesn't have a go again, so it consumes your action point on attack,
Yeah,
and it blocks for 3, which is nice. But a 0 for 3 is very underwhelming without go again.
yeah,
So yes, it has an on hit that is relevant, but 3 is just such a bad breakpoint. Like it is so easy to block for your opponent, so that this basically requires you to play an attack reaction on it.
yeah. And at
And
that
here
point,
you have like
we're walking into like this is telegraph territory.
yes, and this is
So
actually a thing that is common with these, and that's going to be very interesting in this limited format. Is that most of the attack reactions actually only work on stealth card, which means that attack reactions are quite telegraphed and limited, which I think is a good thing, because
yeah,
that kind of rewards you being able to identify the correct blocks at the
yeah,
correct
or
time.
not having it and still having okay value because you made the person play around it. Like you
Yeah,
don't have an attack reaction, and you just arsenal it. It's pretty good from both sides. Yeah, it's pretty good having telegraphed attack reactions, and then as the blocker, you're having to think in the space of possibilities. What gets me here? What can I afford taking? If he has this card, I'm screwed. If I overblock, and if I block correctly, then I'm playing around this, and this, but not this other card. Which there are, I think there's one which is close here that rewards you. Well, it gets better if the person blocked,
yeah.
and I don't
So
think
for
there's many
more,
of them,
the
right?
more cards they block with, you give them tokens like
Yeah,
flat
blood
drop
rot,
tokens.
but I think that's the only one, right? If I'm not
I
mistaken.
think so, and I think it's also majestic.
Yeah,
We'll
which
get
is a
we'll
non-factor
talk.
for limited.
Yeah, we'll see when we get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to shakedown then.
So just real quick to wrap it up.
Okay.
So if infiltrate will see like if stealth sees play in any form, you will play this card 100%. It's the best stealth card that you have. You're
Yeah,
gonna play it.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, However, it's contingent on the fact that you need stealth to be good. If stealth is good, this is good. If stealth is not good, this card is obviously useless.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so in terms of rating, stealth out of 5.
Stealth out of 5.
Okay, shakedown. It is the Uzuri specialization. It costs 2, it defends for 3, attacks for 6. And if you've played or activated an attack reaction this chain link, shakedown has when this hits a hero, choose red, yellow, or blue. They reveal their hand, banish a card of the chosen color. So this is one of the take a thing from your hand type of on hits, which is
Absolutely.
the paired with surgical extraction. That those are the only ones that actually take stuff from the hand.
Yeah, so this is obviously so this is a specialization. It has a specialization power level. So this is obviously like a really good card.
Yeah,
Um, in Azuri in particular, also should be noted that cheating this in with her hero ability will fulfill the clause of having activated an attack reaction
yeah,
because her hero ability is an attack reaction. So this will be triggering then. And yeah, this is like basically the best or one of the best cards that you can cheat in with the hero ability of Uzuri.
yeah,
And anytime, so for this strategy of Uzuri, this is like a 5 out of 5. You will always play this 3 off.
yeah.
And
And you always pick
this
yellow,
is kind
right?
of what you want to be doing. And you always say yellow.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Ozuri specialization out of 5. And there we go, Spreading Plague. Spreading Plague is the one that creates Blood Rot Tox tokens.
Right. That's the one we just talked
Yep.
about.
I really
Um,
like this card. I think it's a pretty fun card.
yeah, I think this is a fun card. This has like the kind of this is what we talked about earlier. This is the Dorinthia problem of you punishing your hero for the opponent for blocking. And if they don't block because they play an aggressive deck and they want to fight for tempo, then this card does nothing. It's a bauble. Again, it's pitch two. I mean, I guess it blocks three, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously this can be a huge blowout. If your opponent blocks with three cards, then this is actually an excellent trade. So it becomes a 1 for 6
Yeah.
essentially. Of
The fact that
course,
it costs one is a bit awkward in Uzuri because you're not
yes.
operating on pitching cards. So, like,
Well, that's what you have the chest for.
true. Yeah. Yeah, but basically, you're either having to attack with the Nerves couple before, or like your Fighter's Bite, and then having to have that resource, or you have Tunic, which, only happens in 1/3 of your turns. So, and it's hard to. I guess it is an okay card to keep in Arsenal, but then, as we said when we were talking about the hero, when you actually have things in your arsenal, it's so much easier for the opponent to block because you can't fake out like a thing like switching and attack. So you have, as we said, like one card in arsenal, two in hand. You're attacking with a stealth. You're either gonna switch it, and I know you're gonna switch it, and there might be an attack from reaction from arsenal, sorry, or you're just faking me. And if you're faking me, you're ending your turn with a card dead in hand. So it's pretty telegraphed. Like, especially if you took damage to attack with a stealth card and keep one other card in hand, you're gonna swap it for an attack, or else you're just losing out value. So yeah, that in that sense, it's pretty telegraphed. But yeah, pretty good attack
Yeah,
option.
I think it's one of the it's not a bad thing, terrible thing to be doing with your tunic resource because chances are like I don't think you have that many targets for your tunic resource anyways in Missouri. Um, but that being said, I don't think this card is particularly good. I think it's going to be below rate too often. Like a lot of the time, your opponent is going to block with one card, and then this is a 1 for 2, which is terrible. They block with two cards, it's a 1 for 4, so that's a leg tap, which is okay but not amazing.
Yeah,
And in blocking with three cards on one attack is actually something that doesn't happen very often. And then this added awkwardness of having to pitch this to pitch for this in some form, and it only like if this were a blue, then sure, but since it's a yellow, I don't think this card is very good. Maybe this could be like a sideboard thing that comes in a sideboard, but I don't think this be more like of maybe if it's a one off or two off at maximum, but
yeah.
yeah,
I think it should
it's a
be
cool
more than
card.
that because most of the time you're blocking with two cards. Like if you're getting attacked by Uzuri and you need to protect your arsenal, just give them two cards and call it a day. If they have the pump, you lose the arsenal. That's fine. That's where Uzuri actually gets her value when you block and she actually goes over the top. So the thing I think it comes down to me is how much is your tunic resource being taxed? Like, do you have a lot of things that want your tunic resource? Then this is probably not you're not going to use it. But if you only have, let's say, like 9 reactions that cost one that are competing for a tunic, then I guess this is a super fine card because you can find a place where it's getting you where it's being a leg tap, and leg tap is pretty good when it blocks for 3.
Sure.
Okay, so leg tap out of 5. Backstab. We're getting to the rares now. Backstab. Yeah. Okay, this is where we're gonna talk about the value of stealth. So backstab is a 0 cost, 3 attack, 3 defense, assassin action attack that has stealth and defense reactions can't be played to backstab's chainlink. Okay, so hear me out. Wounding Blow has one more attack than this and no text box and is a generic. So I posit that stealth, the other paragraph, and the fact that it's assassin costs 1. Wait, minus the fact that it's assassin. Because being assassin gets you more power, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Like generics are weaker than class cards.
exactly.
Right?
So if you're assassin, you should get more value.
Yeah.
So stealth plus defense reactions is worth 1 plus assassin minus assassin. I'm not sure on my equations here.
So that's my argument is the following. Wounding blow is a generic
Yes.
and it has 1 attack more.
Yes.
Okay. Backstab uh, being like having like an effect, like the defense reactions can be played to backstab's chain link. That brings it up to that's the same as having like 1 extra point, right? So you have an effect or you have 1 more attack. It's the same thing.
Um.
But then it has stealth as well.
Yeah.
So that means that it is it if it were a generic card, then it would be above rate because it has an effect and it has stealth.
Yes.
But since it's an attacking, since it's
Actually, no,
not
no,
a
no,
generic,
no. Because I do understand what you're saying, but you're saying that defense reactions can't be played to backstab's chain link. So the second paragraph is worth the 1 point.
yes.
I am just saying that I don't want to go that far. To me, the whole text box is worth 1 point.
Okay, so you say that stealth is half a point.
Stealth plus this effect is a point. I'm not sure the distribution.
10, 0.1
Because
and
this effect is definitely not worth 1. Maybe this one is, but there are some effects that I don't think that should be valued at 1. Like there's
Okay,
malign.
why? We can make this even easier. Let's take isolate. It has dominate on it.
Yeah,
And
dominate.
stealth.
Yeah, but dominate is that. Here's the thing: dominate. The keyword depends on. Yeah, here we go. Isolate. Dominate on a 1-cost attack is. It shouldn't be valued the same as dominate on a crippling crush. Like if crippling crush had dominate on it, that's not worth 1. That's worth way more than 1. Like would
Oh, you
crippling
pay 2
crush
for
at
it.
8 be a fair card? Crippling crush with dominate, costing 8. I don't think that's a fair card. Because dominate on a high power attack is
Yeah, but
way
it
more
costs
valuable
9.
than.
I mean, I guess technically dominate is worth 2 because Bravo, the activating Bravo costs 2. And that gives dominate, right?
Um, I mean, I literally know what you're saying. I'm not sure I agree with the conclusion.
I'm not sure about the conclusion now either.
Yeah, but my point is, let's not get too hasty and say that it's this thing that is worth 1 point and then stealth is worth whatever assassin is worth. I just want to say that the whole text box is worth 1, and there's the fact that it's assassin too. So, but
Okay.
the point being, stealth, it can be 0, but it can also be a bit more than 0. I guess that's my point.
Sure. But all that being said,
And it's not worth 1,
the
definitely.
stealth cards are by and large below rate when it comes to just looking at how much they attack for, how much points of value you get out of them.
They're at rate.
Sure, they
This is a
have
wounding blow. They're at rate. Well, I guess if you're never using.
if you don't count stealth, if you just take that card without stealth, would you still say that's at rate?
Definitely not, which is why I think stealth is actually worth something. Yeah.
Something. Exactly. So stealth is worth something. So stealth takes something away from the
The
power
power,
of
yes.
the card.
Yeah.
So some part of the power is crystallized in the stealth keyword,
Correct.
but the stealth keyword in and of itself doesn't do anything. It's
Yes.
worth 0 without any additional support.
Correct. Yes.
So that means if you don't make use of the stealth keyword by ways of synergy, you're actually playing below rate.
Correct. Yeah, that is a very fair conclusion. Yes.
Yeah, that's my argument.
Yeah, that's
so
the
that
conclusion
like
for sure.
naturally, just like blood dead like chain cards, just because of the keyword, without context, these cards are actually like bad.
Yes. Yeah, basically being if you're playing a stealth card, you better be using it to
Better have a
Uzuri
reason for
something,
it.
or you're just Arachne and you
Yeah,
give
or
it
just
Go
getting Go again out of
Yeah.
it. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That basically so there's Backstab, which is this is a rare, by the way. Defense reactions
Yeah.
can't be played to back. And
This is funnily enough, this is kind of like anti-synergistic with the Uzuri effect. Because by the time you swap the other card in, now the defense reactions can be played again. So this is kind of more of a you want to actually play an attack reaction on this itself rather than swapping something else in.
True. It's a rare too. That's
Yeah, this is better for Arachne than it is for Uzuri. Because you just got to play a stealth card with Go again, slap an attack reaction on it, maybe, or maybe not. Your opponent doesn't know. And they can't react to it. So this is good.
Doesn't even matter if
course.
they know, right? It's an attack reaction and they can't block it.
They can't block it. So this is going to be great in limit.
I don't think we have defense reactions in this set outside of Ranger.
Yes, you
which
are correct.
They have traps, right? So ninjas has
and there's like
there's
generics,
no generics.
But there's generics that actually get around this clause. There's instants that can still prevent damage.
Yeah. So this is basically like in terms of limited, it's making you a bit better into Rangers. This paragraph, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's Sneak Attack, which is a nice art too.
It's great artwork.
Yep. If you've played or activated an attack reaction, this chain link Sneak Attack has +4. This does not have stealth; it's just a rare, and it costs 2. This is it blocks for 2. This is okay.
This is almost a Raging Onslaught for Uzuri.
Yeah, this is okay. I like it.
It's okay. I like it. I think it's. I mean, if you play Uzuri, you probably want to play this, just because it allows you to play on raid with a 2-card hand, which is something you don't usually do. Which kind of goes to show how Uzuri is kind of like sketch for constructed. But like it blocking for 2 really hurts, I would say. Yeah, I mean this is definitely a great card in limited.
The red version is
the red version might see play in constructed in Uzuri specifically. I don't think any other hero wants to.
Yeah, it does well with the 1-cost reactions too, which is pretty good. So you can play this in Arachne. Like you go
not really,
Sneak
because
Attack.
because you can only play them on stealth cards.
Are there no reactions that?
I mean, Arachne has.
There's the Razor's Edge thing. Wait.
It's also stealth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
that's why it's not great in Arachne.
Yep,
this
is trash.
A card. Yeah.
This it's chain link, it's not even this combat chain, so you can't go like stealth, bump, sneak attack.
Nope.
Okay, so just don't play this in Arachne.
Don't play it in Arachne.
You've heard it here first. Okay, now on to the cycle,
the spikes.
The sickening cycle.
Yeah, so these are all the same.
Yep.
Right? They just give a different token.
Do you think one is like much better than the other?
On the face of it, it looks like Bloodrot is obviously the best. Yeah. I do think though that I have faith in their ability to balance things, and maybe it's the case that just Bloodrot is just better than the others. But I think the others, they look worse initially, but I think they might actually turn out to be pretty good as well.
Yeah.
And especially contextually. So in this limited format in particular, frailty is going to affect everybody because ninjas and assassins don't have their dagger anymore. And rangers are always going to play from arsenal.
Yeah.
So you're going to nerf their damage output by at least 1 point, more likely by 2 points. So that brings it up to the value of Bloodrot again.
Yeah.
And Inertia is a card that I think is this is the highest variance one.
Yeah.
Where either it's completely useless, it doesn't do anything, or it actually takes an entire card away from the opponent because you're denying them an arsenal. And also contextually, I think this can be really good because you're forcing your opponent to make a high tempo play on a turn, and they don't get to set up. They don't get to like make a lower tempo play on this turn to set up for a higher tempo play on the next turn. So you're kind of denying them an off turn. You're forcing them into continuous action, and that can actually be like really good.
Yeah, because for sure.
you might like force them into like very
Awkward like
inefficient,
patterns, yeah.
awkward plays, awkward hands.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. Basically, and Inertia is I like the sad guy on Inertia. So he looks pretty sad. Like Inertia is worth anything from 0 to a card, which let's say it's 3. And so, like as you said, it's the more swingy. Blood Rot, it's 0. It's always 2 at least. Sometimes 3 because you actually made a guy pitch a blue. And sure, Frailty is worth at most 2, and basically 1 against everyone except Assassin. Because Ranger is gonna shoot an arrow, so there's -1, and Ninja is gonna swing with like a Kodachi or 2. So it can be
I mean, this
worth 1
could
or
be
2.
even more than 2 because it's for the every card that you play from Arsenal.
Yeah, but the Rangers don't have Gogan, right? So they're only shooting
mean-
one thing.
Of course, it's not gonna happen, but theoretically it can be 3.
Okay, sure. Yeah, but I'd say like it's so heavily on 1.5, I guess, frailty. Because, well, 1's against Ranger, and it's basically always -1. So that's pretty fun. Against ninjas, it can be up to 3, because, you know, they go Kodachi for 0, Kodachi for 0, or you know, they're not gonna do that. They're instead gonna use that resource to do something which is less efficient than swinging a Kodachi. And they might also attack from Arsenal. So I feel like Frailty is the reliable guy. Inertia is the super, like, high payoff. And Blood Rot, I just feel like it's most of it, it's always 2 value in a sense. But you also, like, you're giving the person a chance to block on their turn.
Yes.
So like if you're being attacked by a stealth card and you just block 3, and the person does Blood Rot, if this blue you just played was instead gonna just block, let's say you knew the person was gonna do a +3, you're now just pitching it and preventing 2 damage. So your blues, instead of blocking for 3, which you would do, now it's blocking for 2. And basically the attack reaction only said +3 damage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make some sense, or rather, another way you can think about it is that you kind of like allowing your opponent to, like, if they play out that turn at like a low tempo anyways, where they don't really have something super good to do with that extra card, it doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah.
They can just be like, oh, whatever, I wasn't really going to use this anyways, I'm just going to pitch it.
Yeah, this blue was going to be worth 2 value on attacking, let's say. Now it's going to worth 2 value on blocking, yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. So, yeah, I agree in that sense that Blood Red can like, it looks, I think Blood Red looks better than it is, and the other two look worse than they are. And I think on average they're going to be pretty much the
same. I agree. And it seems like the spikes, they only come in red.
They only come in red. They only work on stealth cards. But obviously they are a great rate. So it's a 1 for 3, and then the on hit actually represents, as we discussed, probably around 2.
1 and
that's
some.
Actually
1 and a bit, let's say.
1 and a bit, but that's still a really good rate for an attack reaction.
For sure.
So
it's basically a lag tap that blocks for 3 again.
Exactly. So yeah, if you play, if heroes that play stealth are going to see play and constructed, all of these are going to see play. Probably you might sideboard a bit, where again some heroes, like, one is better than the other, but I think all of them are. If stealth is a thing, then this will be a thing as well.
Yeah, you're definitely playing them if you're playing something with stealth on your deck, and you have a tunic. Okay, so in fact, this is now for the commons. It's a 0 cost, attacks for 3, blocks for 3, with stealth, and on hit make a Blood Rot. Those, I think, are like, I think it's better than backstab, for example, in general. And here I'm talking about limited, not constructed. Because
yes,
if you don't want to block and the person, like, let's say the Uzuri is faking you, she just wants to get a reaction on top, then obviously this has an on-hit, backstab doesn't. And in the case you actually want to switch them, then, like, sure, backstab has the relevance, of not being able to play defense reactions.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but not
this is
after the
just more
switch
heads up,
anyways.
right? Obviously, they're a bit balanced. But this is just more face value, I guess.
Also, like the clause with the defense reaction just disappears when you do the switch anyways.
Yeah, which
yeah, for sure. I think I like these. In terms of like your basic stealth cards, these are going to be the backbone of your stealth deck. So all of them, there's like inertia and frailty ones as well. I don't think we need to add much more to what we
yeah,
said about stealth
I
card
guess
already.
a fun thing in terms of drafting is that Arachne, you're basically looking for the red um, stealth cards, while Zuri, you basically don't care because hopefully you're switching attack every turn. So
Yeah,
in a
and
sense,
probably
it
actually,
self balances in a way that everyone is looking for the reds, but Arachne wants mostly the reds, and so there's more space for Zuris to be drafted with yellows and blues.
oh yeah. Uzuri is gonna draft yellows very happily from away from Arachne, and I think that's actually a very good point, which I hadn't thought about, but which is really cool for
Yeah,
limited.
yeah, but there's the thing that everyone wants the reds anyway. Like you can block
Yeah,
draft
but I
an
think
Arachne
I
by
think
being
I think you're gonna smash drafts if you go in thinking, oh, I'm gonna play Uzuri, I'm gonna like, and you just draft yellow stealth cards. You're gonna smash people left and right because you don't care.
yeah,
And
yeah, you
other
don't care
people
about
are
them.
going to like pick like they're gonna just give you these, they're just gonna pass you these cards which are excellent for your deck, like for like second to last pick you're just
Yeah,
still gonna get like yellow stealth cards and you're like, perfect, that's exactly what I need.
yeah. Okay, so there's Isolate, another zero cost, attacks for 3, blocks for 3, self dominate.
Yeah, so this is one of the better ones for Azuri specifically because you can like you force your opponent to make the decision on how much they're going to block early on, or rather, you kind of preventing them from overblocking. So you can just play this. They can only play. Let's say they don't have a defense reaction.
Which they
They
don't.
can only block with one card, and now in the reaction step, you swap in a 6 attack with an on-hit trigger. They cannot respond to that anymore.
Yep.
So, or that, well, they can respond to it
With a
now,
defense
but since
reaction, but they don't have a
with the
defense
defense
reaction.
reaction, which they don't have,
Yeah.
and then you kind of preventing them to just go, oh, you attack me with a stealth attack, I'm just going to put 2 cards in front of it and I don't have to worry about it. Now they can't do that, and you can really kind of like close games out like this or like force to on hits. So I think this is one of the better stealth cards.
Yeah, high priority for Uzuri for sure. For Arachne, who cares? It's good to
Yeah,
force
you don't care
the
about,
attack
yeah,
reactions.
for Arachne, yeah, sure, for the attack reactions, but
Yeah.
you don't care as much about this effect because it's like, oh, 0 for 3 with dominate and go again. It's like,
Yeah, who cares?
okay.
Unless you're actually doing an attack reaction, you don't care. So
You don't care.
malign.
Exactly.
Is this malign? I think it's
This is Milan, yeah.
malign. Okay. Malign
Um,
is it has stealth, and damage that would be dealt by malign can't be prevented.
so this looks terrible on first glance, but in the context of the limited format, this is
Yep.
actually pretty good because the generics that are going to function as defense reactions in limited are actually prevention effects.
Yeah.
So that means that this is actually the actual defense reactions can't be played of the limited format. So this is what backstab wants to be. This is actually backstab in limited. So that means in limited this is
Rough.
actually going to be pretty decent, especially if you draft like attack reactions that you want to play on top of this, where you don't want to switch it out. You don't.
Yeah,
want,
which is for Arachne basically.
Yeah,
Some
for Arachne.
Uzuri for sure.
Some Missouri, but like mostly Arachne, I think this is going to be a great card too, and you're going to see a lot of games that are going to be closed out by Malign plus an attack reaction.
Yep. And then there's Prowl. Same deal, 0 cost, attacks for 3, blocks for 3, stealth. The next attack with stealth you play this combat chain gains +1. So this is a fun one because Arachne loves it. Uzuri, it's another stealth card, so she also doesn't hate it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, Scar for Scar.
Scar for an actual Scar. Blocks for 3 too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it actually has to be another stack for another stealth attack.
Stealth card, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Scar for Scar, sure. Blocks for 3, pretty good.
Yeah, it's a limited card. This is not gonna see constructed play.
Oh yeah.
Because Arachne is the only hero that wants to play this, and there's way better things you can do in constructed with Uzuri.
Yeah, for sure. Sedate. Same
Yeah,
deal.
Sedate,
When this hits, create
Wither,
an
we talked
inertia.
about this. Exactly. So Sedate and Wither, the next two ones, we already talked about this. We covered this in the discussion about the blood, what's called
Yeah.
infect.
Why are they not in order? Is it like,
Oh, they
oh, because
are.
it's like alphabetical order. I see.
Ah,
Hey, and then after Wither, there's Razor's Edge.
Razor's Edge.
It's a pretty cool name.
Yeah. Um, Again, attack
Pretty okay
reaction.
effect.
Pretty okay effect, but again, restricted onto stealth cards. So
Yeah.
I don't think this is good enough for constructed.
Oh,
This is definitely
definitely
going to
not.
see limited play. Definitely see play in limited. In constructed, you can do better things.
Yeah, like buffing a thing for 3 is when it blocks for 3, it's actually super fine, right? Because it's basically a head jab as long as you have an attack to place it onto, which is, I guess it's okay, right? Because actions also can force on hits. So the fact that this is basically a buffs for 3 go again, in a sense, pretty good. The fact that it's conditional to stealth cards is the thing that is supposed to make it balanced, in a sense. Like if this was just +3 damage, works on everything, blocks for 3, that's it's a constructed level playable card, right? If it was
Well,
unconditional.
it is, but not in the context of Assassin, because Assassin actually already has better attack reactions. So if you compare this to Shred or what's the other one, Cut to the Chase or something, um, they do the same thing except they do it better.
Well,
Because
Shred is
although
pretty
actually Cut to the
conditional.
Chase, Shred is kind of conditional, but I would say it's less conditional than this. Cut to the Chase is contract cards only, right?
I think so, yes.
Ah, okay, okay. In that
But it
case,
also
I
gives
would
like
say
a scry.
it
Fate
gives a
seal,
scry,
actually.
but then if you play Uzuri, then you probably want this in your deck. Um, yeah, so I guess then maybe you're right. Maybe this is constructed playable. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant if it didn't have the stealth thing, the conditional,
Well,
it would be
then
constructed
obviously.
level playable. That's what I meant.
Well, that no,
With
then it would be like way overrated.
Yeah, which
I
is
mean,
what you
not
need for
way.
constructed level play. Yeah.
Sure.
And what I mean is that with the stealth, then it's in line with, it's an okay card.
It's an okay card.
It's not
It's
gonna
okay out of 5.
it's not a scar for a scar.
It's not a scar for a scar. It's
It's
a
not a
head jab.
snatch. It's a razor's edge. Okay. We actually managed to wrap up Assassin in an hour. Jesus. I guess let's take a few minutes to talk about like the overall for Assassin. How do you feel about them now that we went through all the cards? Do you feel the same?
So I think in when it comes to like CC, I think it's still not going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I think the stealth mechanic, as we discussed, kind of like by definition plays a bit below rate, which is kind of what Assassin already does anyways. And you trying to make up for it by playing like at reaction speed, like having like these great attack reactions and
Yeah.
things like that. Obviously now you might be getting into a territory where you threatening a more relevant on-hit triggers than Arachne would be doing previously. So maybe there's something there. But that being said, I still think just by the nature of the thing, it's not going to be it's not going to be a tier 1 deck.
Yeah, I'd say I guess it's not that you're playing below rate, it's that your value is not written on the card, it's written on the, as you said, like on the fact that it's a surprise. So you have to make up value from the surprise, or else you're actually below rate, right? Which is basically
Exactly.
what you said.
And
Yeah, I
once
feel like
people figure
Uzuri
out,
can't ever be a tier 1 deck. Basically the same as Dorinthia. If it's ever a tier 1 deck,
exactly.
just spec out more defense reactions. Just don't make an arsenal. That's also a thing. If you're playing against Uzuri, probably just don't have an arsenal. That's it. Just never make an arsenal. So now, like, I think there's 9 cards that threaten arsenal. There's CNC, Live No Witnesses, and I thought there was one more. Maybe it's like one of the 6 attack from the set.
There's a contract card that does that. Oh yeah, that's Leave No Witnesses, right? I think there's one that they now printed in the generics.
Yeah, that's wreck havoc. Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
may turn out.
Rag
Yeah,
Havoc, yeah,
yeah. Just
exactly.
just just don't get got. That's the thing.
Don't
Just
get got.
yeah,
That is exactly right. Don't get got.
just don't get got. That's it. And yeah, the
And
fact that she's Uzuri is pretty like tempo inflexible. You basically need to have at least 2 cards to have an okay turn. You don't have one card turns, which is a thing that most decks like to have. And you don't have 5 card turns that are too good. You're basically forced to play at a mid-range brain state. And I guess, in that meta where like if everyone's playing mid-range, then maybe she can come out on top. And also, I feel like there's an issue with fatigue in a sense. I know it's a loaded word, but like you do get value. Like sometimes you get the person, and wow, you actually took a card out of their arsenal. You actually took a card off of their hand, and that is a lot of value. But you don't move the life points. That's the thing. It's like a Terra Sunder. Like Terra Sunder, you get a lot of tempo. You do not move the value. So you do not move the life of the person down. So like with Zuri, I feel like you can get down to the slogs where you get to your second cycle and now you've used all your get the arsenal things and you're stuck with a bunch of bad cards and
zero for
you actually
threes.
can't finish out the game. Like
Yeah, you have a bunch of 0 for threes that don't have go again, and your opponent just blocks you out.
yeah, maybe you have like I guess the thing is gonna be finding the balance between stealth, attack reactions, and powerful attacks to swap over. So like having to fix 3 ratios in a deck, that gets into like weird territory where you can't ever
That's
satisfy like a good, and you can't work on 2 of them. Like because if you only have, let's say you build a deck, hey, I have stealth cards and pump cards, well then you just run into the issue where you're tempo inflexible.
yeah.
And
And
let's say
now
you
you're
make
playing a Ranger
stealth,
deck.
yeah, if you make stealth plus attack reactions, then why the fuck are you playing Yuzuri? And like it just doesn't gel. It feels like, I don't know, it's just a weird constraint on deck building that feels weird to balance out.
Yeah, I think yeah, you hit it on the head. And also, a last thing that I want to mention regarding the assassin class is that first of all, there's still like the dual cards that we haven't talked about, but I don't think that they will change our assessment all that much. And the other thing is that this actually doesn't give really any support to Arachne, the CC hero, the existing one. Like, there's very, very few cards here that are actually interesting to him because he doesn't really interact with these stealth cards. Like, the stealth keyword doesn't really help him at all. It's just that, oh, now he can play these attack reactions on the stealth cards, but like, so what? Like, he has contract and he has like great attack reactions for contract cards already,
Yeah,
and they didn't print any new contract cards. So basically everything else is just kind of like tailored towards interacting with stealth, which he doesn't use.
that is
And
true.
so and the only thing is like, oh, you get this new legendary chest, but we talked about this. It kind of competes already with the other equipment slots that you have. So I don't see Arachne like getting much better from this set either.
I that
Um,
that's very true. I didn't think about it. Like nothing speaks to adult assassin in the set.
Not
Like
really.
the actual adult assassin, the contracting, yeah. There are some good things, I guess, for assassin, like some of the hybrid attacks, like Death Touch and stuff like that, which could slot into assassin, but that's just assassin, not Arachne adult. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
basically just like
Like,
weak
sure,
support.
the deck, the Arachne CC deck is going to get better from the set, but only marginally, and that deck is quite far behind the best decks right now. So the amount of help that it gets here
Such
is
a
not going to
hater.
be sufficient.
Such a
It's not
hater.
going to be sufficient to. I mean,
Dude, Arachne, so good. Like you
how
just
how
play
many
you just play
how many
26.
like ProQuest top eights even did that deck achieve?
Before you, I don't care about data. That's the thing. I just care about like the feels. Like when your
I mean,
deck,
like,
because the CC the thing that makes it good is the fact that you play 26 generic cards. So I think that speaks
yeah,
volumes to how good the hero is, you know? When
yeah,
half your deck is generics, that's probably not a good place to be in.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
the Azalea style.
Yeah, I guess that's we're gonna just have a break and then we might come back with Ranger soon. You might not even see this. You might be already seeing Ranger right now. So yeah. Okay, we're back. You didn't see anything. Neither did we. It just faded to black, everything. And
I can
we're
confirm.
actually going to Ninja. We're not going to Ranger right now. So let us start. So for ninjas, we do have Katsu and Benji. Those are the heroes. Why don't you start us up with the general fees for Katsu?
All right, so Katsu, the OG ninja from Welcome to Wraith. This is one of the original heroes, and his ability allows you to the first time that you hit on each of your turns with an attack action card, you get to discard a card from your hand, search up a card with combo from your deck, and then essentially you can play that card on that turn. Also, the card that
Yep.
you have to discard has to be 0 cost.
Yep. And it
So
has to be on the first attack too. That's like you can't hit and then second time a thing hits, you do it. Like it has to be the first time it hits. That's where you get to choose, right?
exactly, you have to make that decision right
Yeah.
away once you hit. Um, So we already know this hero, right? We know this was a successful hero early on in the game.
Yep.
It kind of got overshadowed in the later sets, especially I would say starting with around the time Monarch came out. This hero was kind of like seeing less play just because like other heroes were doing like maybe more powerful things
Yep.
or being more consistent maybe in what they're doing. But that being said, his ability is still strong. So it's like a tutoring effect. Obviously, it has restrictions placed upon it. And on in and of itself, it doesn't give you any value. You get to exchange a card, so
Yeah.
you don't get any plus out of it. But due to the fact that his keyword is the combo keyword, which makes your card play above rate if you play specific cards one after the other on one given turn. This ability can actually help you a lot with consistency
Yeah,
in pulling off these combos.
it does provide value, like the ability gives value in the sense that it gives you consistency in hitting the other thing. So
Yeah,
whatever, like it does have a numeric value associated with it in the sense that it makes your opponent block differently. Like if it had a blank text box, then obviously you wouldn't care as much because now only, let's say, 5% of the Katsu hands can actually turn a combo on. This just the tutor effect gives you value in that sense. That's what I guess I want to say. And
yeah, it gives you the ability to more consistently play out your cards over rate because you're playing them synergistically.
correct, yes. So yeah, that's Katsu, and then there's also Lil Ode Benji.
All right, Benji. So this is a Blitz only hero. We already know this hero as well, so this is another reprint. And he basically makes it so that your opponent cannot block your attacks, which have 2 or less power. This is not base power. This is power by the time that your opponent
Yup.
blocks. And also has this additional ability that if you're hit with an attack action card, your next attack gets +1.
Yeah, next attack
So
doesn't have to be attack action card. That's also a thing.
yeah, so this is obviously like really powerful. Both of these abilities are really powerful, and for this reason, he actually starts with less health. So he has 17 health only, and so uh, we know that like in the past, this hero has never really made it to like the top tables of. I would say this is never really like a tier 1 hero in Blitz. But that being said, it's always been around, and I would say if you can construct the deck in the right way, I think this hero has the potential to be like very powerful. Just because in and of itself, like the ability alone to buff your one of your attacks each turn if you can by +1 that's already like that's great. That's you know value every turn, and that's
Yeah.
always a good thing.
Every turn that it hits, where something hits, you do get one value. You need the action point, obviously. It's not like Ira levels of hero ability. I feel like Benji is the ugly cussing, the ugly ninja cussing. Because it starts at
The
17
step,
health. That's
the step brother.
not a good thing. And it's just uninteractive. Or at least Benji builds in Blitz, they focus on the fact that I want to be non-interactive, mainly because of the spec payout. And but yeah, the fun thing is you don't necessarily need to activate the first paragraph of Benji for it to be okay, right? Because you are getting
Exactly.
passive value out of the text box, the second
I
paragraph.
think I think this is a trap that a lot of people fall into
Oh yeah,
when they actually construct Benji decks is that they will focus way too much on the first paragraph and not enough on the second
for
paragraph.
sure.
Like I
Yes,
think the first paragraph, main value you get out of it is that um, you can turn your blues on, like you can finish closeout games really nicely. Um, but I think the main value that you should be looking for is just to kind of play it as a normal ninja deck and just kind of like try
yes,
to play awkward breakpoints, make your attacks hit, and then just profit off that +1 ability. And I think the reason why they chose this one is that they didn't want to give us Ira because that would be just too good. Like
just give us a
+1
new
every
ninja
turn.
though. Why not?
Yeah, sure, they could do that, but like I'm saying that in the sense of power level, like
Yeah.
we all like everybody who has been around for a while knows that Ira was one of the best decks for a long time in Blitz. Just
Yes.
showing that the repetitive like +1 every turn on your attack is just it's just really really
Yes.
good.
Yeah. It's just like having the 3 less health. It comes from both paragraphs. So if you're only using the second paragraph, you're probably not doing it right. And like you're not making up for the fact that you have 3 less health. So as you said, like you also need to make use of the first paragraph in order to make up the disadvantage, which is probably coming from the fact that sometimes the person is gonna have like a card remaining, and you just attack for 2 unblockable, and that's it. That's where you make up 2 health back if you get to lethal range. So basically, if you activate the hero ability once, the second paragraph once, there we go. You've made up 1 value off of a blank ninja hero, which obviously there's none. But then you actually have to activate the first paragraph to make up for some percentage of your the fact that you're not a Katsu.
Exactly. I do think though that Ira should be a 19 health hero. To be fair,
True. That would that be enough though? 19,
I
not
think
18.
so.
Okay,
I think 19 would be
I
enough.
think I
I
agree.
mean, that's
19
what
sounds
they
good.
like. So they did that with the other the Arachne in the set also has 19 health, right? So that kind of goes to show you how good just statically value every turn is on hero ability.
Yeah, true, for sure. Okay, Kodachi,
Okay,
the harmonized
Kodachi.
ones.
We know this another returning favorite. So this is a very powerful weapon. Tax 1 for 1 resource, and if you have a card with 0 cost in your pitch zone, this has go again. So the clause is hilariously easy to fulfill in constructed. I think in limited it's going to be still very easy, but obviously you have to kind of like be more cognizant of how you're drafting and,
Yeah,
and how you're
drafting
using this.
blue, 0 costs, which there are plenty.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There are plenty, but still, I think both ninjas want those. So you got to be fighting for with other people's or with other people playing, regardless of which hero they're end up
yes,
selecting. You got to be fighting over those blues.
yeah.
So um, that's something to be aware of. But yeah, it's a very powerful weapon.
Yeah, nice thing about Kodachis is they're a bad rate um, in terms of exchanging 1 resource for 1 damage. That's not that good. But it's a resource sink, which is pretty powerful. Like most of the times you might have a Katsu turn. I think most people just swing the Kodachis way too much. That's the problem. It's a thing that fills your curve, and that's how I think most people should be thinking about it. Like if you are you gonna end up your turn with 1 resource left, like no matter how they block, then sure, just use the Kodachi. But if you can like fake an attack reaction, I'm not exactly too sure if we have like attack reactions that cost 1 for ninja. But like the point standing, the point being that if you can fake like even a combo line by having that one resource, maybe it's worth it to not swing the Kodachi and have the fake. Because you get value out of faking the person to block more on your chain starter, let's say. But yeah, it's basically like a way to turn leftover resources into 1 damage, which is pretty good. Like having a resource sink is something that is not cheap in Flesh and Blood at all. Most heroes, if they had a resource sink, would be pretty good. So yeah, it's a resource sink. You can sink at most 2 resources into 2 damage. It's pretty good.
Yep.
Never fails. Then there's the Mask of Many Faces, a common equipment.
All right. So this is a very exciting card right here. So this is a 1 block blade break. So that means it's already S tier in limited.
Yup.
And then it also has an activated ability, which is you can pay a resource and destroy it as an instant. And you can name a card, and the next card, attack action card that you play, gains the name that you
The
selected.
name.
The name. So this is just a very cool card, and this is one of those things which kind of like you speculate is like, oh, 10 years down the line, this is going to completely break a format.
Yeah.
With some obscure combo.
For sure.
But for now, this is just obviously constructed completely unplayable because it's in the head slot, and Ninja has like their best equipments in the head slot.
Yeah.
But in limited, this is an amazing card, and it gives you a lot more consistency with hitting your combos. So your combo cards care about the name of the card that you played before, and this lets you kind of cheat that and just be like, oh, what the next card I'm playing is actually named this other thing, and then you get to activate.
Are you faking people out with the naming thing for 1 resource ever?
You can't, because it activates on the next card that you play. So like you have to break it and then you play a card, right? You can't really fake them out.
I guess, yeah, it's not changing how they... I guess, like, maybe... So, start of your turn, you name the second part of a combo? Would that work?
I guess... No. I guess what you can do is that you break this, you play some card, and then in some sense it forces your opponent to respect that card more. Like if you break this and then play any card, they kind of have to block it, because if they don't, you get to search your deck for the second combo piece with Katsu. And I guess you can fake that and just be like, oh, I'm going to do this combo now, but you don't actually have the other card in your deck.
Yeah.
Or you played all the copies already, or...
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, you fake people out and make them block differently.
Make them like...
Yeah, you just psych them out.
You make them like respect the a card more than you should give credit for. Like, I guess maybe that's right. Like, you already have like the combo in hand, and then you break this, and you name like a different card for a different combo, and then but you actually have you already have like the second combo piece in hand.
Yeah.
And you already activated.
I guess it comes down to... Okay, so yeah, you do have a combo. You just attack with anything, and now the person overblocks, and then you actually do the combo. But you're always naming a chain starter, right? For limited purposes. For constructed, I guess you can do the Snapdragon stuff and go nuts.
Probably. Well, actually, you don't not really. You can do like a middle piece.
Yeah. And then
you can like play a leg tap, or like you can play like a head jab as a middle piece, and then you have like the finisher.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have part 1 and 3, and then a go again attack in the middle.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
It's a really cool card, and I can't wait to play it.
I can't
wait to put this in my deck and then always just block with it and
Yep.
never actually activate the ability
Yep.
and be like super happy about it because
For
one
sure, for
block
sure.
is just so good.
Yeah, that's what it's there to do most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
don't hold your breath, as the guy is suggesting, in order to
Mm,
use it. Just block.
I don't know. Now, don't hold your breath. Like, just cash it in for value on the block. But I think this actually might get in limited. This might actually get activated pretty reasonably at a pretty reasonable rate. Like, let's say we play back and forth, and I gain the tempo, and I can force like I actually have the tempo advantage, and I'm coming at you, and I want to close out the game, and now I draw up a hand, and I'm missing a piece. Now I'm happily sacrificing this to just keep pushing the advantage.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to see some activations.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
allows you to have more redundancy. You do need the attack to have go again naturally. That's a thing.
Yes,
And
that's a
I
thing.
guess we'll
But
have
that's
to look
in
at how many
Ninja.
of those.
It's not going to be so hard in Ninja. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool card. And this is like probably my favorite art out of the whole set. I just love this art.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's
Insane.
gonna look awesome in cold foil as well.
Oh, for sure. Hey, next up, Cyclone Roundhouse.
Cyclone Roundhouse. So 5 attack, yellow pitch, 2 cost. It's a combo card, and it cares about spinning wheel kick as as the card that you should have played before. And then it has a very strange effect because it says at the beginning of the reaction step, banish a random defending card from each chain link.
Yup.
This is probably the strangest card in this set. Um,
I think it obviously depends on the whole combo line thing. How much does the other does the every other part of the combo line cost in total? 1 or 2? Because that changes a lot.
The spinning wheel kick costs 1, and it depends on twin twisters,
Twin
which I
twisters.
think also costs 1.
I
So
think
it costs 4 in total.
Yeah, that's not that good of a
So
deal.
awkward.
But dude, this card is potentially super obnoxious if the person blocks with equipment. Like, that is basically what it boils down to. If it's not banishing equipment, then it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, that makes sense. I was like, I didn't get it. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah.
obviously on
Yeah.
this one itself, it's kind of like, okay, if your opponent blocks with a card, then that card
Yeah, it makes it unblockable itself, which is pretty good. Because
kind of like you can still overblock it with 2 cards, but that's obviously terrible rate.
yeah. Yeah, basically it's attacking for 8, right, at that point.
Yeah. So you probably just take the 5 if you can.
Yeah.
Like obviously this is going to be amazing if your opponent can't afford to lose the 5 life.
Yes.
And as you said, and I didn't realize that when I was reading it, that if your opponent blocked with an equipment card on the previous chain link, you might just yoink that one completely.
Yeah, which is pretty scary. Because
it is pretty scary, but like, how many equipment cards do you block with that you kind of still want to keep around? Like
Grasp,
they don't actually break anyways.
Grasp, Titan's Fist, Tectonic, which you do have to block with equipment against Ninja that runs Mask of Momentum. So that's the thing.
A fair point. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, I think it is a strong combo line. It does cost 4, which, it's you're not going to see it every game. It's not like Mugenshi, which you can basically always get it to go once during the game because the whole combo line costs 3. Like, the combo lines costing 4 it's just a big thing. That's the...
Yeah. I think...
And the chain starter, the Twin Twisters thing, is pretty good.
It's okay. It's just a leg tap.
Yeah, leg taps are leg taps.
Leg taps are fine. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I think this is a bit too cute. I think I want to give it like a 3 out of 10. I don't
3 out of 10?
3 out of 5.
Oh, out of 5, okay.
I don't think this is going to see that much play just because it's a bit, you're asking a bit too much for a very kind of specific upside. I think the times that you actually get something out of it are going to be few and far between, and the rate is not great.
Yeah.
Like two for
If
five,
if you
and your
do,
opponent like is like, oh, okay, I don't block it. I take five.
can
Then
you
you're just
name
like,
cards retroactively
uh, don't
with
think
any
so.
effects? Okay, I
I
guess we'll
think you
get
always,
to. I'll just go to spinning wheel kick right now, just so we can get a better view.
yeah.
Okay, so
Let's
spinning
go.
wheel kick costs 1, blocks for
It's
2,
a leg
attacks
tap,
for 4. Yeah, it's a leg tap.
but it also has combo. So it's a leg tap with upside,
Okay.
and it has the combo effect that is active if this same card, spinning wheel kick, was a previous attack, or twin twisters, and then it has the effect that it has +1, and when it hits, put it on the bottom of its own stack.
That's a pretty powerful card.
Yeah, that's a powerful card. You kind of, I guess this makes like Cyclone Roundhouse a lot better in the sense that you likely want to play spinning wheel kick anyways because
Yeah.
it's just a really good raid.
Yeah, if you're not running the leg tap line, like there were some ninja decks, I guess, because there weren't just a lot of ninja decks in general. But there were ninja decks running leg tap without running like the full combo line. They just ran like
Wait,
leg tap
actually,
and the other one.
I'm stupid. You can actually just play spinning wheel kick that already has go again by on its own. So you can just play spinning wheel kick, cyclone roundhouse, and that costs 3.
Oh,
Because spinning wheel
yeah.
kick doesn't need to activate combo in order to have go again, so you can just play that.
Yeah,
That
correct,
makes it a
yeah.
lot better. But I do think still that the cyclone roundhouse is I want to say it's probably still going to be just like a one-off maybe or a two-off, like something that you can find with your katsu, but probably you're not going to do that all that often.
I don't know. I don't know.
It is a true
I'm feeling
target.
it. I'm feeling it. Let's say, okay, you start a turn, pitch a blue, Kodachi, Kodachi. You're not blocking that shit, and then you're just spinning wheel kick. It's if you do have like 2 cards remaining, it's just unblockable, right? You're never ever blocking the spinning. Because well, you are. I guess it's just for the late game, and at that point, who cares if you're banishing equipment?
No.
Okay.
You could do Kodachi. Kodachi. Now they block with tectonic plating because they don't want you to have a mask trigger.
Yeah. That's where I was going. Yeah. Because they have to block the second one, or else you're threatening the mask. And then if you go spinning wheel kick, you do need 2 cards though, because you
So
need
I
to
think
discard and the pitch.
the main thing with this combo light is that it punishes people for blocking and specifically blocking with equipment. So I think it's like a situational thing where it might like if it sees play, it's more of a sideboard card because you want it against people who want to block and you don't want to like if you play against Fi, you don't want to have the you don't want to do that because they're like, oh, I'm going to take 9 and going to
Sure.
attack you for 18. So
Yeah,
so
but then you get the draw
it's
off
just
of the spinning wheel kick. You get your mask on if they don't
no.
block.
You can just say pitch blue, spinning wheel kick, and roundhouse kick, right? Just
Yeah.
do
Sure,
that.
sure.
And that's like a 3 for 9, and that's just below rate. That's like barely at rate. Which, if they just willing to just eat that damage, then that's terrible. But if they block, if they want to block, now it becomes a lot better because like they can't really block your cyclone roundhouse, and if they don't want to be extremely inefficient.
Yeah,
So now you're dealing damage to them, and if they're like a deck that wants to like block a lot or fatigue you or whatever, play at a low tempo, then you're like putting them in an awkward spot now. So
yeah.
I think this is
Also,
like
I think
this combo line is good like against decks that want to block, and it's not good against that
you
don't
can
want to
also do
block.
like a 3 card 10. So like you start with spinning wheel kick. Um, if the guy doesn't block, the opponent doesn't block with equipment, and it hits. So like say he just blocks for 3, you just get another spinning wheel kick instead of getting the cyclone, because then at that point you can also Kodachi. So the first
Yeah,
spinning wheel kick is getting, but the second one is getting buffed by the first. So doing 4-5-1,
yeah,
which is 3
yeah.
card 10. It's not that big of a deal, but it's okay.
It's okay.
I guess you the the takeaway is you will probably play like all 3 spinning wheel kicks, reds at least, and then you can just play one cyclone as a tutor target, which there were some in the Katsu decks. There was the Fluster Fist just as a combo for a
I
0
mean,
for 4, you know?
the more that I think about it, the more that I think that maybe you actually want, against defensive decks, you might actually want all 3 cyclones. You definitely want the spinning wheel kicks probably anyways, because they're like better like taps. But
Yeah, and against defensive decks for sure, because it's just a way better.
yeah, and
It's
then
very hard to block.
yeah, and then it just becomes a question of like how much sideboard space are you going to have. But yeah,
Yeah, because yeah, against defensive
gotcha.
decks it's a 3/4/9, like just spinning wheel kick cyclone. You're using 3 cards and doing 9 damage, but it's really hard to block. So it's basically
Yep.
3-card 12. It's pretty good.
All right,
Okay.
shall we move on?
Yep. We
Dishonor,
need to move
one
on.
of the. We go to Dishonor?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so this is one of the cards that people have been most excited about, or at least like there's a lot of talk about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
So it's 0 for 3, blocks for 2. I'm sorry, 0 cost, blue card, blocks for 3, attacks for 2, and then it has text. But I'm already sold, okay? So I don't need the text.
Yeah, you definitely don't. It's just a blue
But the
0
text is
cost.
also, yeah, it's a blue 0 cost. That's already good. And attacks for 2, which actually is pretty good for a 0
Yeah.
cost too. So for a blue card as well. So it has text combo. So if this was, if Bonds of Ancestry was the last attack on this combo chain, this has +2. So it attacks for 4. If Bonds of Ancestry was on the combo chain before.
Yep.
Bonds of Ancestry, we should maybe add for context, is a card that does not have Go Again unless you activate combo. So we get to that card a little bit later because there's a lot of text as well.
Yep.
But back to Dishonor. So if you can activate combo, this has 4 attack. And then if it hits a hero, if you not only control Bonds of Ancestry, but also Surging Strike and Descended Ghostwave on the chain, and if it hits the opponent hero,
Yep.
then that hero loses all abilities for the rest of the game. Okay, so
Yep.
that looks extremely scary.
Yep. It is.
And for some heroes, this is extremely scary. Like, you don't want that to happen. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to make this happen. And then this still has to hit.
Yes.
However, I think this is probably good enough to see play. Because the rest of the combo line is also good. Like the whole Bonds of Ancestry, Surging Strike, Descendant Gustwave, all of these cards are actually good on their own. And as we already said, Dishonor is kind of good on its own as well, because it is a blue card that has 0 cost and blocks for 3.
And attacks for 2.
So
yeah, I guess I just love Katsu and the way he gets his value, like out of psyching people out. I feel like that's where you get most of your value from. You're just psyching people out. Like, dude, this guy has played Surging Strike and Descendant Gustwave. I better not block, just in case he has the bonds and can search off the thing. So you don't block. He just searches for whatever, or it doesn't even search. He just does some damage and then arsenals. Like that is good enough. You're just making the person like scared. That's it.
Yeah. It's kind of like it has a bit of the same issues as we talked about with Dorinthia and Uzuri, except that the cards that Katsu play are not. They're actually like a pretty good rate. They're just aggressive cards, so they don't block as well.
Yeah.
But they actually present a good amount of damage.
Yeah, but Katsu, contrary to Ozuri and Dorinthia, he can play at a super high tempo. Like, you can literally find a use for every single card, every single turn. Because you have Kodachi, it's not a good rate sometimes. Sometimes you're pitching a blue for 2 Kodachis. But, like, you can turn your any 0 cost into any combo card. It's just fun, and it's good.
Yeah, I like this card. I like where Katsu is going, and I'm excited to see if this is going to happen, and people are going to get hit with the fully powered Dishonor and just kind of cry.
Yeah,
Because
I
Sonya
feel
is
like yeah, most people get the excitement out of the second paragraph, which is pretty fucking exciting. But you know, it doesn't even need to have the second paragraph. Sometimes
yeah,
also
actually
like
like
the fact that combo is separate from the second paragraph, you can just like play this as a 0 for 4 sometimes.
yeah,
If you have
the
bonds
zero
of
for
ancestry,
four
just 0 for 4, that's
is
it.
yeah, 0 for 4 is really good at blue. So
Yep.
yeah. Um,
Heads leads the tail. Head leads the tail.
Head leads the tail. So 1 for 3, go again. And when this attacks, name another card, and attack action cards with that name have +1 this combat chain with go again.
Blocks for 2.
Blocks for 2. Very sad.
Yep. Um, there's
So
some
how?
cat, some crouching tiger stuff here somewhere.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
that's it. There's not much more to it. It's a cat of war, art of cat, or
Out
something.
of cat.
That's it.
Well, I mean, it is. If you play this with another card, then it's leg tap,
Yes.
which is okay. But as we already saw, that there seems to be a commitment to already printing better leg taps, anyways. So in order for this to become better than leg tap, you actually have to play 2 cards with the same name after that,
Yes.
and um, maybe Fi wants this and play Phoenix Flames, but this is not an
What even
uncommon
is
card,
Phi?
so
I don't
what
even know
even
what
is
that
Fi?
hero does. There's no Belin.
Um, so I think there's like, as you said, there's some Crouching Tiger stuff. I think that deck is pretty meme at this
Yes.
point. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting card. I don't think it's good enough.
If you do get 2 value out of the paragraph, then it's above rate card enough that is playable. So like you can do
Sure, but
like
like
head leads the
if you
tail,
compare this,
spinning wheel kick.
yeah, but if you compare this to literally spinning wheel kick, it's I think it's a lot easier to get 5 value out of spinning wheel kick than it is to get out of this card.
Yes, this is more flexible. Spinning wheel
Mm,
kicks only gets 5 value if you have another spinning wheel kick or twin
yeah, but
twisters.
spinning wheel kick, I think still it's going to be easier to get 5 value out of spinning wheel kick.
You mean like in a constructed playable deck?
Yeah,
Like it's yeah, sure, I agree. Spinning wheel kick is a better card,
because
and thus it is
you play
easier to
spinning
get
wheel
value.
kick, you play spinning wheel kick, and they don't block. Uh, you can just search the other spinning wheel kick, and there you go. That's 5 value out of the spinning wheel kick.
Yeah,
The second one, of course.
yeah,
But this one, you have to play this, and you have to play 2 cards which have the same name
yeah.
afterwards. So you need 3 cards already, and 2 of them have to have the same name.
I mean, with the
Whereas the
spinning wheel
other
kick, you also
requirement,
needed a discard.
you need a spinning wheel kick and a card to pitch, and a card that costs 0.
Three
So
cards.
it's
Oh yeah, you
three
also
cards.
need the pitch here. True.
You
You're
need to
right.
pitch here. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I think this is a cute card. I don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, the head does not lead the tail that much.
Card
Wander with
Wander with
purpose.
Purpose. So this is a Benji specialization. 0 cost, 2 attack, go again, block 3. And it has the Katsu hero ability printed on it.
It
If
does.
this hits, you get to search a card with combo and play it this turn.
It's a pretty good storyline.
It's
I
tough.
just want to say, aside of from the actual playability, I think the art is awesome, and it looks like it's Benji learning from Katsu because his I don't know, he's young or something, and so he's learning from Katsu, which is pretty good. It's a really fun card. Benji does have one specialization so far,
Yeah, and it's really good.
and that's the
But it doesn't
second
have
one now.
combo. I think most importantly, there's a cute dog in this artwork.
Yeah, Shibi,
I think so,
Shibuina.
yeah.
I think
She,
that's
she,
yeah, something like
something
that.
like that.
I don't do dog breeds that well.
Yeah, it's a dog.
The doggo, that's for
Doge.
sure.
It's a
Yeah,
doge.
yeah. I like the color. The art is just awesome. That's it. Now the playability of this card. It's pretty good for limited, but it's a majestic, so
Yeah, I feel like considering this is a specialization card, this is surprisingly weak.
the other specialization does not have combo, correct? His
I
other.
don't. I'm pretty sure it does not.
Sure.
That would, if you can search the other one, then this makes this significantly better.
Yeah. I don't think
But
it should have combo.
I don't think it does, and also I think like even then, this is just not a good grade
Yeah.
for a specialization card.
I mean, I am picking this every time in limited. And
Sure. You can pick. I don't even pick it this high. I'm not gonna even pick that highly, to be honest.
like, are you picking like what? Let's say you already want to be a Banji. Because
Yeah.
of course, if you can still move into Katsu, then you're not doing this guy. But let's say you already are a Banji. What are you picking above this guy? At common and rare.
Yeah.
Like spinning wheel kick? I'd
Yeah,
buy that.
I like.
Why
Yeah,
not?
spinning wheel kick probably.
Sure.
Yeah, you can get a bunch of those. I mean, it's not like obviously this is like you pick this like, but I don't think it's like, oh my god, this is like a snap pick first.
Yeah. You're
ever.
not first picking this for many reasons. It's a specialization. You're not sure if you're moving into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's super fun card. Not that highly rated.
Yeah.
Now, this is my favorite card, maybe.
The
Silverwind
shuriken.
Shuriken.
All right. Okay. So blue pitch, zero cost. That's a good start, but then it kind of goes downhill from there.
Yup.
It's an item. It's an item. It doesn't block, and it says attack reaction, destroy Silverwind Shuriken, and target attack action card with combo gains +1. So this has the effect of the gloves of Ninja. What are they?
Breaking Scales.
Breaking scales. That's right.
Yeah. If this item had go again, would that be too broken? I think
That
so,
would make
right?
it. That's an amulet of Earth.
Yeah. A super amulet, because Amulet of Earth is so hard to actually get the condition to activate it to going on, like, because you need to fuse.
Yeah, but
It does
also it
buff
still has a
everyone.
restriction.
Well, it's not really a restriction, right? It's like you
Yeah,
already
okay.
want to only buff your cards with combo. It's not. I was going to think about an analogy, but like you're being forced to make what you already want to. It's not really a restriction.
Fair enough. But I do think that the majestic rarity is a bit surprising here. I mean, maybe it's not that surprising because you kind of want you don't want that many copies of this floating around in limited because then people run around with zero cost cards, zero block cards in their deck a bunch. But
Well,
yeah,
like LSS is protecting you from fucking up your deck. I don't get
yeah,
it. Oh, you
they
think that's
literally
it? Like, let's put this at Majestic so people don't accidentally blame the game for having a
yeah.
shitty deck.
So people don't end up with like three effectively slightly better cracked baubles in their deck.
Sure. I don't think that's the case. But I mean, sometimes you end up your turn with an action point and a card in hand, which is like, let's say you attacked with a chain starter, so like Kodachi, chain starter, and the person, the opponent just blocked. What are
Right.
what are you to do?
So you're turning this extra card and extra action point into one value. And imagine if this was
Yes.
block 3, then you could just block.
Oh no! If this was block 3, this would be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous,
No.
right?
If this would be any
Oh, okay.
card
You're
that's
saying
blue,
okay.
like a card that's like, if this were a titanium, compare this to titanium bauble.
Yes.
Titanium bauble is better than this
No.
card.
Not necessarily. You have to make up the action point. So let me roll it back a bit. So the fact that it costs an action point, not that big of a deal, right? Because as ninja,
Sure.
you do end most of your turns with an action point. A lot of stuff has go again naturally, yada yada. Okay, so the fact that it costs an action point, not a big of a deal. Now the fact that it could have blocked 3, you just have to make it up by making the person overblock for at least 3 during the whole game. Or plus, I guess, the fact that sometimes the +1 will grant an on-hit that wouldn't otherwise be granted, and now you get a lot of value out of it. Let's say a Dishonor, for example. Like,
I think this card is unplayable.
oh, okay, that is an assessment.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now. I'm not putting this card into my deck. I'm not drafting this unless I'm really starving for blues. But it's a cute card. It's cool.
Yeah, for
But,
draft/blitz, I don't think you're having time to actually play out this card ever.
even for constructed, I don't think you want.
Yeah, that's the thing. If let's say you just want to build a big Dishonor brain, you know, you just want to dishonor people. That's all you want to do.
Sure, but then you're already in the meme space of deck building, anyways.
Well, not necessarily. Like if you have 3 shurikens out and you have breaking scales, how the F do you actually block out the Dishonor? You know, you don't. You have to overblock for 4 for the rest of the game. Every time I'm threatening like a Dishonor line.
Every time you keep 5-card hand to threaten the Dishonor line. After you already took like 9 points
Is
of
it?
damage.
Does it need to be?
That,
That's the thing. Does it need to be a 5-card hand for the Dishonor line?
I mean, it literally says that you already need 4 cards, somehow play out 4 cards.
No, 3 cards, not 4.
Well, and Dishonor itself. That's 4.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
All right, let's just move on, okay?
I am putting that card into every single ninja deck. 3 of them, to be precise.
All right.
Visit
then
the floating dojo.
Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong, but okay, visit the floating dojo is just like so again, blue card, 0 cost and no block. It's an instant Katsu specialization, right? And what it says is that put a Surging Strike and a card with combo from your graveyard on the top or bottom of your deck.
I like this card.
So, okay, I think we get a theme here. Again, I think this card is completely unplayable. I'm also surprised that this is a specialization card and it is so utterly weak. I think maybe this has like a place as like a 1-off or something, or a 2-off in the sideboard.
Yes, I think that's it. That's why I like it. I think it's a but some ninjas wanted to play Remembrance, and you don't want to do it because ninja gets fatigued.
This is a better Remembrance. I think Remembrance is really bad though. This is slightly better, but even still, it's not amazing. I mean, at least it doesn't mess up your pitch stack, and you kind of get to like set a combo for sure.
Yeah.
Or you can even set a pitch stack. So in that sense, it has some. I think it has some viability in constructed in that sense. But just in general, against like a blind opponent, or like if I don't know what my opponent is going to be doing, or if I'm playing limited, then this card has all of the problems that the Silver One Shuriken has, except it's worse.
Yeah, I guess I just don't think it's that big of a deal because most Katsu hands, the fact that it doesn't block doesn't block, that is, most Katsu hands you have 2 blues, or because like you're discarding stuff to get the Katsu, so you have like 2 blue hands, 2 blues in most of your hands. If one of them blocks for 3, you're never blocking with the other one, right? Because you always need a blue to be a Katsu. So the fact that it doesn't block's not that big of a deal. You just block with the 3 block other blue and, you know, keep this pitch. Same with the Shuriken. And sometimes when you actually get to keep, let's say you don't hit, let's say you're keeping a blue to discard for Katsu, a 0 cost blue. Now if it doesn't hit, you don't put the shitty card on your arsenal, which you did sometimes with Katsu, and it really sucks. Now you just play it out.
I'm not convinced.
It is a thing. Sometimes you
I mean,
did
I
put
don't
like blue fluster fists in your arsenal because that's
like.
what remained in your hand because you didn't hit.
I think it's fine to say like, okay, with a deck like Katsu, you're going to be keeping like bigger hands in general, and so kind of having like this card. Then in that sense, you could say, okay, there's more opportunity for me to kind of convert this card into either a pitch or discard to the hero ability.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's fair, but still, I value the flexibility of being able to say, I might pitch this card, I might discard this card, but I might block with it as well. I value that very highly because the card not blocking doesn't matter except when it does. And when it does, it really does matter. So,
I
you
don't know.
know,
I feel like
it's
there is a threshold of blues specifically where you can just have two blues that never block in every single deck, and that's super fine. Like Heart of
yes, I
Candle,
agree. You have like you can have some cards that don't block in your deck, but it cannot there cannot be many of them.
it cannot be manual. That's correct. Yes, I super agree. But I feel like those can be Shuriken, Floating Dojo. There we go. 3 blue cards that don't block. I guess let's move on because we're never getting off this train. Um, okay, so those were the Majestics. A lot of super powerful Majestics. That's the takeaway, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Bonds of Ancestry. A
All
lot of
right.
text.
So Bonds of Ancestry. So this is the last card before Dishonor in that big new cool as combo chain that Katsu has now available, or I guess all of the ninjas have available to them now.
Yep.
And it's a 2 for 4, blocks for 3. So that's already like it's a terrible rate. But if you have combo active, which is if a card with Gust Wave in its name was the last attack this combat chain. So it combos off of not just one card, but actually 2 different cards. Then this costs 2 resources less to play. It has go again. And when this attacks, you get to banish a card with combo from your graveyard, search your deck for a card with the same name, and play it that turn.
This is super
Okay?
strong, yeah.
There is so much text on this, but what it boils down to is if you can combo this card, it's absolutely amazing. And if you can't, it's very much below rate.
Yes. Blocks for 3. Let's do it.
Blocks for 3. But
Yeah, the hard part is again, like sometimes you have, let's say, Surging Strike and Bonds of Ancestry. And if your Surging Strike doesn't hit, then like that's it. Your whole turn went down to shit. And you just cry.
or you activate your mask, give Surging Strike the Whelming Gust the Gust Wave name, and then you attack with Surging Strike and Whelming Gust Wave at the same time. Into Bonds of Ancestry, get your Dishonor out of your deck, and now Dishonor is active.
Does it work that way?
Off of 3 cards. Yes?
Like given the name, doesn't it take away the previous name?
No, it adds the name.
Just gains that name. Okay.
It just gains that name. The Mask of Many Faces.
Okay, so it has both names at the same time. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Does it have
That's
any?
actually really cool. Huh?
Yeah, that is really, really cool. Yeah. Well, that's not a 5-card hand anymore then. We just solved it. Just Dishonor Shuriken meta. Dishonor Shuriken.
Yeah,
just
off of one blue as well, because you can pitch the blue for the mask and then the other 2 for the Surging Strike.
Yeah, and the rest is 0.
Is free. The rest is 0. There you go. Except you need 2 Dishonors in your deck, and it's quite unlikely limited, and you're not going to play Mask
Oh yeah,
of
this
Many
is not
Faces
limited.
Constructed. Yeah, but you're not going to play Mask of Many Faces and Constructed, so.
You might. With the Shuriken deck? Like, dude, against an Icelander, all that matters is hitting a Dishonor during the game, right? And then you just win? You just do it. Okay.
Anyways.
You don't want to argue. And
That's not
And I know
That's
I'm
not
right, so why
so
am I arguing?
yeah, just quick assessment of Bonds of Ancestry. If you can combo this, amazing. If you can't, subpar. At least it blocks for 3 though.
For sure. Yeah. Blocks for
And in
3.
the deck, and if it turns out that this Katsu deck, which plays this Dishonor combo line, which seems at least on the face of it pretty strong, if that's going to see play, then Bonds of Ancestry is definitely going to be one of the main pieces of that deck. In particular, because just even without Dishonor, just like this on is not even an on hit effect; it's an on attack effect.
Yeah.
Actually nets you a card, so that's
Yes.
actually amazing value.
Yeah. And like this is rare that is playable in any colors, just as long as you can get
This
the combo. Like
Yeah, this might well be a 9-off in that deck.
yes. Okay, recoil.
Recoil, 0 for 3, blocks for 3, no go again, shockingly. Combo, and I think this might be the first combo card that I see that doesn't gain. Oh no, actually, the Cyclone Roundhouse doesn't do that either. But this card doesn't actually gain go again from activating its combo ability. It just says if head jab was the last attack on this combo chain, this has when this hits a hero, they put a card from their hand on top of the deck.
I guess makes sense why it doesn't have go again. It's a pretty powerful on hit. It's like a chain ender on the second hit, which is a 2-wide chain. That's not something we previously had access to. And you don't need pitch, so like it's a 2-card. Let's say in constructed
It's
you
a
just head
command
jab
conquer.
recoil. Yeah.
So this is head jab recoil. This is actually kind of a command and conquer hand. Because you play head jab recoil, it's 6 damage, and your opponent is you forcing always at least 1 card from your opponent.
Yeah. And you might just go head jab and the opponent is letting that hit for sure. So you don't even need to have the recoil in hand. You just
just any
chuck it out, get
just
the recoil. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a very nice sideboard card. This is going to probably see play and constructed against other aggressive decks, because what you really want in the aggro mirrors is to force interaction.
Yeah.
And force them to play like you play for the tempo. So that means you want to make them block and you want to play with big hands.
Yeah, but I
a lot
think
of the time,
I just think it's not that playable because head jab is not that playable. Like you just might not want head jab in your deck enough to warrant.
yeah. So I think you're correct there. If that might well be the thing that holds this back, but if it doesn't, then it could be fine in the aggro mirror. On the other hand, though, it only ever forces 1 card because you can just easily block it with a 3 block.
Yeah. Unless you have shuriken.
Obviously have the shuriken out. Yeah.
Yep. I'm just saying. And it
There
has
you
the
go.
blue version too, which is pretty. Like the other colors are fine if you just want the on hit effect. The set part is just being blockable by equipment, which the red one forces 2 equipment, which is pretty good. But if you're playing against someone that only has like an iron rot and gauntlet and doesn't have any other blocks on equipment, then the yellow also does it. The blue, not so much.
Just the 3 attack might just be a bit too weak.
Yeah, for sure. Spinning wheel kick.
Alright,
We already talked about it a bit, but
I think we talked about this sufficiently.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
yeah, very good card. Yeah, I think this is a 6 of. I don't think you want the yellows. Maybe you want like 3 reds, 2 yellows. Yeah, you don't want the blues because it's not a 0 cost.
It's not a 0 cost, yeah. I don't know about the yellow.
Like some quantity of yellows might be playable just because it's such a good card, right?
It depends on how much you were interested in actually making that combo happen.
Yeah, the Cyclone one, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, the Cyclone one, or how much you might actually just discard cards to just keep playing spinning wheel kicks, because it's just like, hey, use more damage.
Yeah, but I mean, you did play yellow Surging Strikes.
I think
just because it's a chain starter.
A very interesting point about this, actually, which is very relevant, is this the first combo card that just has go again?
I think so.
No, actually, no, that's not true.
There's
the wind one.
The 0 for 3, blocks for 2,
0 for 3.
gains +1 for each. It's basically the same effect, right?
Same card. Yeah.
Except this has the on hit goes to the bottom.
Yeah.
Which is also pretty good against fatigue. Really good.
Yeah, this one is the leg tap combo card, and the other one was the head jab combo card. Like it's this one is leg tap except combo, and the other and +1 for each copy of it, and the other one was head jab except combo
Head jab except combo, yeah. +1 for each one of them.
with +1. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you might want. I guess you don't need yellow just because it goes to the bottom. Like some people are blocking it fully, in which case that's awesome. That's less equipment. I feel like most of the time people are either blocking 0 or 3 anyways. So
Yep.
goes to the bottom. You can always fetch it up in the
Fetch it
future.
up again. Yeah. I mean the second copy. You are always losing one, but still.
Are you? Oh, because it doesn't have combo. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unless you play Twin Twisters as well, which I'm not sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're losing one, but sure. That's still good. Some recursion is always good. Because you lose so many
Alright.
cards in your deck to, chucking it out and getting a card out of your deck.
Okay, so back heel kick. If Twin Twisters was the last attack this combo chain, this has, if it would gain power, instead it gains that much power +1. 0 for 3, 3 block. I'm not convinced of this card. I think the general idea is that, like, oh, you play the Twin Twisters and then you choose that the next attack gets +1. But then if they just block the Twin Twisters, then that effect is just turned off.
Yeah.
It
is pretty good if the person doesn't want to block the Twin Twisters, so against aggro decks, but yeah, not that big of a deal. It's okay in limited.
But then it's like a 5. That's 0 for 5, which is not terrible. I mean, I guess now if you're popping your shuriken or like your gauntlets for this, you're kind of getting like some extra value out of that.
Yeah.
True. But I don't know. I don't think this is. I'm.
It's a filler card. It's not that big of a deal. At least it looks like so.
It's not
the blue might be good one. Good enough for something. Okay. Be like water.
So now you have be like water, which might be a reason why recoil is actually going to be playable. Because this is a head jab that is not literally a head jab. It is actually one of the more interesting or more exciting cards that
definitely, yeah,
we got here. Because so maybe I should read the card. So it's a head jab, 0 for 3, block 2, go again. But it also says when this hits, you may pay 1. And if you do, choose head jab, surging strike, or twin twisters. This gains the chosen name.
And they're just abandoning leg tap, which is pretty fun, right? Just left
the kicking line. The kicking line just didn't fit into the set anymore. So why is this good? The nice thing about this is that it allows you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you're doing, and it gives your deck a lot more consistency, and it allows you to kind of play multiple combo lines without having to worry about finding the right starter piece. And on its face, it's a head jab, 0 for 3, go again, block 2, which is a fine card.
It's like the power of a name is very important. Like I feel like you might be happy to attack with the blue one in constructed sometimes, just because of the fact that your combo cards are actually fire. Like Whelming Gustwave is a super fire card.
Yeah, like equipment blocks are like used up, and you're like, oh, he's a 0 for 1, go again, and you're gonna block.
Yeah, you just go. You only pay after it hits. So like it's so weird for the opponent to block.
Yeah. So if they're blocked, so they say they throw a card in front of it, you're like, okay, that's cool. I traded my blue for one of your cards.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, pay 1, fetch for Katsu, go nuts.
By the way, this is a surging strike. Discard, get a Whelming Gustwave, and like, oh, here's a 0 for 4, go again with draw on it. So yeah, this card is excellent.
Sadly blocks for 2, but
Yeah, I love the blue for sure. I like the red as well, but yeah.
All right, Deadly Duo.
Deadly Duo. 1 for 3, go again. So again, a leg tap, sorry, a head jab, except it costs 1. So that's kind of bad, but it has an effect. When this hits, the next attack action card with 2 or less base power you play this combat chain gains +2. What do you think about that?
Is that playable in like Katsu? In limited, I mean. I think you're okay with playing it. Just because I don't know. Are there enough leg taps at common that you can pick up?
I think this is just too easily blocked. Like, obviously, if this hits, it has potential to be a 1 for 5 with go again. But I think it's just too often just gonna get just blocked. And then, even if it doesn't get blocked, you might not even realize the full power out of it, or you're like, oh, you kind of don't want to play cards that have base power 2 or less anyways, unless you're forced to. Like, if you play a card that has 2 or less base power, then either you specifically want to use the Benji ability, or you are just have a bad hand.
This might come up as a name thing. As we talked previously, like you have the starter and the ender, and you can use the mask to turn the middle one into a thing. Because this is just an attack that has go again. Although, well, those are most of there's head jabs too. Yeah, I guess you're never picking it in Katsu. It blocks for 2. This is just a Benji thing, maybe.
I think even for Benji, this is kind of bad.
I mean, you the fact that it costs 1 is not that big of a deal, because most of the time you just want to Kadachi, and if you don't have anything else to do, then why not, you know? Costing 1 or 0 is the same.
But I think a lot of the time you also just want to block with 3 cards and just 0 for 3, 0 for 4.
0 for 4? Is there a 0 for 4?
I mean, I don't know.
There is no 0 for 4, that's the thing. Well, maybe at the generics, yeah.
Generics, maybe? Yeah, there is a 0 for 4.
Okay.
Infectious Host. Absolute banger of a card, by the way.
Infectious Host? Let's see.
Not
Yeah.
bad.
I guess. It's an okay card. It's a common. Can't expect...
Yeah,
Although, we just talked about Be Like Water, which is also a common, and it's pretty fire.
Yeah, I don't think Deadly Duo is going to see play.
Yep.
And I don't think even in limited it's going to be one of the last cards you pick up, because even the blue one, it's like it costs 1, so it's like awkward.
Yeah. Benji might snag them up like accidentally. When the on hit is actually unblockable, it's relevant for Benji, for the yellow and the blue one. Because then at that point it's basically a leg tap.
Yeah, fair enough. The yellow one is like a leg tap that pitches for 2. Like, I can see that.
Yeah, for Benji.
For Benji, yeah, fair enough.
Sure, we found the use.
Yeah, okay.
We found the use.
We found a use. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Okay, Descendant Gust Wave.
All right, the second kind of gust wave. We have gust wave at home. Gust wave. Attacks for 1. Costs 1. 3 attack. 2 block. Go again. So it's the same actually as the card we just read, but it says if Surging Strike was the last attack this combat chain, this costs 1 resource less and has +2.
Pretty good. It's like the second attack to leg tap.
Exactly.
0 for 5.
Rising
Ethrust, yeah.
0 for 5, go again, except it only blocks for 2, which is worse.
Oh, yeah.
It has the big upside over leg tap, that it naturally has
go again,
so
yeah.
It makes it a lot easier to just kind of keep going with this. And I think this is the same thing as we said before. If this Katsu with this kind of combo line, the Dishonor combo line, sees play, I think this card will see play as well.
Yeah, and it's a bit nasty, even in limited, to go like pitch a blue, Descendant Gust Wave into bonds, banish a 0 cost, just 0 cost like a Fluster Fist or something. I know there's no Fluster Fist, but like just a combo.
Just any, like whatever, back heel kick.
Yeah, that's 3 cards for what? 3, 7, and 4? 3
Well,
plus
let's
4
say
plus 4.
3. I think 3 is more realistic, but that's like 10, and that's a limited play though, so that's very reasonable.
Yeah, 3 cards for 10. Pretty good.
No, actually, it's more because the Bonds of Ancestry doesn't cost anything, so you can Kodachi twice, so it's 12.
Oh, yeah. True.
That's actually
Jesus.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
if it
now we
gets like a
talk.
2-cost combo, 2-attack combo.
Yeah.
Are there
Yeah,
any
or you can do that even.
0-attack?
Well, there's only the
Um,
Cyclone Roundhouse. Or you could just get another Bonds of Ancestry. Just another 4, 3 or 4, depending on the pitch value. That costs 2, it's
sure.
like below rate or whatever, but you don't really care.
Yeah, you just don't Kodachi.
Yeah, just don't Kodachi, play like whatever.
Yellow and blue seems also pretty good.
Limited for sure.
Yeah.
And constructed,
Yeah,
probably
limited,
just red.
for sure. I like blues. Blues are
Right.
basically reds at one point or another in the game against Katsu. Just
And then
because
we
you
have
can't let
head
it hit.
and head jab is a head jab.
The actual head jab, the
The
primordial
actual head jab.
card.
Yeah.
That's a head jab. Not much to say
It's
about
a
it.
head jab. Not much to say there, yeah. But maybe that, as we said, like it seems to be that Katsu is now actually getting things that are better than head jab
Head jab
and leg
plus.
tap.
Yeah.
Head jab plus, leg tap plus in this set. So yeah, for everybody who likes Katsu, I think this is good news.
For sure.
All
The
right,
1-2
punch.
punch.
0 for 3, blocks for 3. So this is another finisher, and if this hits, deal 2 damage to the opponent, to the hero, if the head jab was the last card on this combat chain.
Yeah.
I think this is.
Don't like it.
I think actually, now that I think about it, recoil as well is more of a Benji card. You kind of want this, the yellow and the blue one actually, and just kind of force the on hit. And I think this one is the same. So if you play this as at yellow, you just go 0 for 2, and they can't block it, and it deals another 2 for them, 2 to them.
Okay.
So actually becomes 0 for 4.
Yeah.
So I think in Benji, both of these cards, like all of these kind of finishers, combo finishers, they're going to be pretty decent.
Yeah,
in
for
Benji,
head jab.
in the yellow and blue cards. So if you actually can make the on-hit trigger kind of forced.
Yeah.
For constructed for Katsu, I don't think this is going to be great.
Nah. It's not.
Yeah.
Like, especially, sure, sometimes you could fetch up this if they don't have an arsenal to recoil, but you're just forcing a card in any way, like either if they have or they don't have an arsenal. And head jab is questionable. So
yeah. All right, Surging Strike, another OG card. 2 for 5, go again, 2 block. Just great aggressive card, good rate.
Yep.
And obviously the combo starter for
many a line.
Like the best combo lines that we have available. And also, it should be noted that the best combo line that Katsu is available before this set also starts with Surging Strike. So Surging Strike really leads into both of those great combo lines, both into the Dishonor line as well as in the Lord of the Wind line. So yeah, Surging Strike is not going anywhere. You're gonna see play.
For sure. Just play the yellows too in constructed, because you might need enough chain start. Maybe not right now because you can use the impersonators, but yellows is also a fine card.
Just be like water. Just
Surging Strike, like Ninja, you always have to play with more cards in hand than you're actually going to use, just because you have to fake people out. Like, people will not respect you if you can't activate Katsu. That's the thing. Sometimes people respect you, and you have they respect the activation of Katsu, and you have the combo line in hand. So you don't need the fetch right now. That's where you get value. That Surging Strike, it's pretty good. Just play it. Buy it now. And I think that's the last card we have on Twin Twisters.
Last Ninja card, Twin Twisters. This is also reprint. And 1 for 3, go again, block 2. So again, kind of like a below rate head jab, but it has the extra effect that you can either turn it into a leg tap, just giving it +1, so then it's just literally leg tap, or you can make it so that if this hits, the next attackless combat chain gains +1. So again, I think this is not amazing for Katsu. I don't think there's like good reason to play this over things like the spinning wheel kick, say, or yeah,
Yeah,
some
you
of the
just
other things
start
that you could be doing here.
on the spinning wheel if you're playing
But
Katsu.
I think again, this might be an interesting kind of little side thing that you can do with Benji, where you go yellow twin twisters, and then you choose the on hit effect, and then you ended up with the back heel kick, which is if back heel kick would gain power, instead it gains that much +1, and you get both um, you get the +2 off of the Benji effect and the +2 of the
Yeah,
twin twisters, and so now you're actually attacking for um,
2 + 7.
4, 7, 2 + 7, and then you have a floating resource, so you can Kadachi first. So it's 8 for 2 card.
No, 2 + 7
No,
+1, so 10.
10 for 3 cards,
10 for
which
3 cards.
is okay. And some of that was basically unblockable. So yeah,
Yeah, I
this card
guess Twin Twisters,
becomes
activating Benji every turn is something you probably want to do. Just want to IRA it out. And Twin Twisters, both blue and yellow, do that.
yep.
Sadly, the blue doesn't pitch on 2L for Kodachis because it costs 1. But in this scenario, yeah, you couldn't do it, right? Because back heel kick, sorry, doesn't have it just doesn't have go again.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the sad
Well,
part.
you would pitch something else and then play the.
Yeah. What I mean is that like the blue Twin Twisters not that good because you just can't pitch it. Like as I said, since you finish a lot of your turns with an action point, pitching a 0 or a 1 cost can sometimes be like irrelevant. There's just
Fair.
Kodachi at the end.
Yeah.
But this is not the case.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess so we can finally finish it up. Can we do some quick thoughts on ninja cards? I guess
All right.
I'll start. I think um I think we have enough ways to turn on Benji, and the cards that Katsu wants, he mostly wants reds and blues. He doesn't want to do anything with yellows unless they're like combo starters or, middle of the combos. That you do have some uses for yellows, I guess, in Katsu too. Because you just want a lot more. You're 0 cost hungry as Katsu, just because you need to discard them too. And Benji like can get some yellows and blues that Katsu doesn't really care that much for. I don't know, I'm conflicted. Do you feel like their pools are like disjoint enough to warrant like
For limited?
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think pretty clearly like the kind of cards that care about head jab and have like the on hit effects mostly are like Benji cards. And the red cards are fine to play in both Katsu and Benji,
Yeah.
but neither one of them really needs them so much. And the other stuff, the combo cards are more interesting to Katsu just because you're gonna have like such a much harder time activating combo with Benji. So I think in terms of limited, this looks actually well balanced. That you actually have like two fairly separate ideas here in the set, just like you had in the assassin pool.
Sure.
So,
I guess a fun exercise. What is your first pick for your best common for ninjas? This is a card I would first pick.
best common as a first pick.
Yeah.
Like pack one, pick one. You mean?
I
Or do
guess
you mean
commons
just
and
kind of-
rare. No, you know your ninja. This is my best ninja card. The one I'm most looking forward to picking. Rares slash
in limited or in
commons.
unsorted?
Limited.
In limited.
I'd say spinning wheel kick.
Yeah, spinning wheel kick.
If you're
on as a
both,
rare.
yeah. If you know your Katsu, maybe Bonds of Ancestry, just because it's nuts.
Yeah.
But it depends on another card. Like spinning wheel kick is just so good by itself. Like
Yeah, exactly. Bonds of Ancestry is also like not just. It's particularly poor if you don't have the combo.
yeah. It depends on more stuff going right. So maybe as a first pick, I'm just going spinning wheel kick. I don't think
Yeah,
Nothing
especially
even
like
comes even close to it. Just red spinning wheel kick.
yeah, especially because like getting more spinning wheel kicks synergizes with having spinning wheel kicks.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
I
pick
guess as
those.
a second place, just Surging Strike. It's an okay card. But I guess leg
As
taps are
double
better
common.
in limited. Hmm?
So you want the twin twisters?
No, I said Surging Strike, the second place. But I guess leg taps are
Yeah, but
better than Surging Strikes.
then twin twisters is a leg tap.
Twin Twisters is a leg tap, yeah. I guess Twin Twisters then, yeah. I
Huh?
think that's it for me.
Um, yeah, I could see that. I kind of like so for Katsu specifically, I really like Be Like Water. Um, especially I think in limited it's going to be pretty
True,
nice.
true, true, true.
If you're kind of trying to make something happen. And yeah, I guess in terms like for the rare spinning wheel kick, I agree. Um,
Okay. So before we close out, let's also do the same for Assassin. Before we close it off, I guess, because we didn't do it for
um,
Assassin. Rares slash commons for Uzuri and Arachne.
okay.
I'd say maybe anything with Spike. Spike with Blood Rot,
Spike sounds
Frailty.
good. Yeah, Spike also plays well with both heroes.
Yeah.
Um, I think Sneak Attack is probably pretty good for Azuri as well.
Sneak Attack. It blocks for 2 though. But I'm not feeling it, I don't think.
No? Well, maybe you're probably better off just getting with generics. Yeah, I think the spikes are good. And as I said, like already, kind of like I think Malign is going to be a great card in um, Arachne.
Yeah. Razor's Edge is also a common, and I think it's a pretty good card
Yeah, Razor's
in
Edge
both
is
of them.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, now that I think of it, it's probably well, obviously the rare is gonna be better, but
yeah, I think the spikes are
Razor's Edge
definitely.
is pretty reliable, just good.
Yeah, it's pretty reliable, but then again, you're probably gonna have a bunch of generics in your deck as well, so you can't always play it.
I mean, both are interested in
And
stealth though, so you will have some amount of stealth, and you can just like park
oh,
this in your arsenal. Well, all right. This is
just because we did that for Assassin as well, just briefly going back to Ninja, what do you think? What's your feeling for constructed following the set for Ninja? Are they getting better? Are they going to be tier one? What do you think?
I think it is possible for Ninja to be a tier one. Katsu, well, Benji is not there. I
Yeah,
think it can be. Just like it depends. I think it's very different from Arachne or Doranthia, the way you get value out of making people block. Because you're psyching them out in such a different fashion. Because you can use the cards you're holding. So let's say they block correctly. Oh, they just turned my 100% correct play to like a six value turn just because I didn't block, which is something that happens in Dorinthia and Arachne. Just your turn goes to shit. That does not happen with Katsu. You can play your cards out and and do stuff.
yeah. Like the baseline of a good Katsu hand is always going to be just a good amount of damage, and then on top of it, if your opponent makes it error in blocking, it just gets crazy.
Yeah, there is it is way easier to fatigue a Katsu than it is to fatigue a Dorinthia or Ozuri, because you lose a card every time you fetch it from your deck, and cards on your deck are kind of a resource. So you're paying for in terms of cards in deck when you're fetching for the right play. But I think it can be doable because you only need like 2 big turns where the opponent just guessed incorrectly and you've dealt like 15 damage because they can't do much. And you just play Shuriken. You
Just play
win the game.
Shuriken. That's
Yep.
the answer.
Yep, it is.
I would tend to agree, and I'm definitely looking I'm interested. I'm looking forward to kind of figuring out if Ninja is going to be a player in this upcoming meta. And I think the main thing is here that, unlike in previous sets, Ninja actually didn't get side reds. They actually, I feel like this time it feels like they actually got upgrades.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of like more power across the board. Um, and more consistency, which I think is a big deal.
Did you see
And I
like
think it's going to be easier to trigger your combo lines.
yeah, for sure. Did you get to see like a flow chart for existing combo lines? There's like so many of them right now. It's like a full page of like lines going through. It's very complex nowadays, and being a ninja, I think it's bad for the new player experience in a way, just because like it's unfair having people know what the name of a card does. It takes a while, so that's a negative. But you know, once you actually know, as the defending player, that is, what the ninja player is capable of, it's still a very interesting game, and it never gets old. It's pretty skill testing for the ninja player too, which is different from the ring. Like sometimes you just have to pray that they block, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited. I don't think it's gonna be like a super aggro ninja either. I think you're actually gonna have to use your brain muscles and find out combo lines and name cards correctly with your Be Like Waters. It's gonna be fun if Ninja actually like gets to the power level where it's not fatigable too easily. Just because you can let the person hit, they find the combo and you just block the combo. So they just wasted a card in their deck. They basically boosted something away for nothing. So there's that. But
Yeah, and like so, Ninja might be more of a setup deck than
yeah,
actual
I think
combo.
so.
It
Yeah,
has combo written on it, so
indeed.
yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So those were my closing thoughts. Do you have anything else to say, Max?
I think that's it.
Well, then, I guess thank you very much. This was a very different edition if you're used to our channel in Portuguese. And if you're new to the channel, then, well, this is probably not going to happen with too much frequency. So enjoy it. We're definitely going to come back for part two. Um, Before the previews are not the previews, but the pre-release is done.
Truly.
So maybe you can, it can help you out in your quest. So leave out comments and congratulate Max for being such an awesome person and being a guest in the channel too. Um, and yeah, thank you very much. We'll see you guys in part two. Bye bye.